Welcome to the Sacred Reclamation Podcast. Here we will be exploring how we can reclaim the sacredness of birth, life, death, and all the happenings in between. My name is Sydney Sands, and my intention with this podcast is to reclaim the art of storytelling. This is a space where we will practice allowing the simple act of telling our stories and listening to the stories of others to be medicine for our bodies and spirits. I invite you to keep an open mind and an open heart as you listen to these stories. Grab a cup of tea, maybe a little snack, and settle in for story time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sacred Reclamation Podcast. Today on the show, I have my friend Zan here. Zan and I know each other. We've known each other for, a few years. I know him through my brother Dane. They met up in Boone, and then we kind of all just connected and have kind of become family in a little unique way. So I'm super excited to have you here today, and you are definitely one of the most interesting people I know. So I'm really excited for where this conversation is going to take us. Thanks for being here.
Oh, praise. I received that, and likewise, for sure. I am. The story is just incredible of how we've met and how me and Dane met, and then from there, it's just been all open to one another, and it's been the projection of where it's going is what excites me the most.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, so we're going to start with just dropping into a little meditation, just a short mini bit to drop in and have an embodied conversation together. If anyone is listening, if you want to drop in with us, go ahead. If you're in a space where, you can turn internal, maybe not if you're like driving a car or anything. And if you don't want to drop in, you can go ahead and skip to after the meditation. So if you feel safe and comfortable, go ahead and close down your eyes and just start to notice your breath. Check in with your breath a little bit. First, without changing it, and just noticing where you're at right now. And then when you're ready, go ahead and invite in a deeper breath. Maybe let something go that you just don't need anymore. Set something down. And then we're going to get right into it. We're going to drop into the throat chakra. Maybe you bring your hands to your throat and just feel what that space feels like. And take a few deep breaths in here. Noticing if you feel open or tight or maybe a blockage here. And maybe you want to accept exactly where you are right now in this energy center, this very powerful energy center. Or maybe you want to ask for a shift. Maybe you want to open this energy center a little bit more, clear the space here. Or maybe you need to rein it in a little bit. Wherever you are, whatever you feel, acceptance or a willingness to shift. Take a moment for gratitude for this beautiful energy center that allows us to speak our prayers and dreams and gratitude and express through sound. And on your next exhale, we're going to drop into the heart chakra. Which is a beautiful space of gratitude and a very potent wisdom center of our body. Take a moment here to notice what's present for you now and ask yourself the same question. Do you want to accept exactly where your heart's at in this moment? Or do you wish to shift into a more open heart space? Maybe you feel too vulnerable and you just need to rein your energy, call your energy and your heart power back a little bit. And we'll take a moment to soak in this feeling of gratitude for all the synchronicities that life gifts us through this powerful energy center of our hearts and the messages it sends out to the field, along with those messages of the throat chakra. Magnetizing beautiful people into our lives, beautiful opportunities, and amazing synchronicities. And just breathe in to that truth and let the feeling of gratitude wash over you completely. Maybe you oscillate this like ball of energy between your heart and your throat for a couple more breaths. Take one more breath, the biggest breath you've taken all day. And on your exhale, maybe open mouth sigh and really let something go before you come back to this present moment. A deep inhale. Let it out. Set it down. Shake it off. And then come back to this space when you're ready.
All praise. Powers that have blessed us to be. I know you didn't say no word oscillation. Look, the synchronicity of that is insane.
I had to think, like, in my mind, I was like, is that going to be the right use of that word? And then I was like, I'm pretty sure it is.
It went bar for bar with every word that I know it to be.
Cool.
That's fire.
All right, so let's go ahead and set intentions for this conversation. If you have one ready, you can go ahead and throw it out. I feel like I need a second.
It is of my intention for us to try and navigate this conversation in a way that is solution based. I understand that can be, we're dealing with a wide topic of things and we'll conversate about. But I feel that sometimes we as healers, as, dealing with the spiritual realm, the application of our practice can be lost. And so if we could keep, and we're of course going to deviate from the path, but keeping that in our mind, our intention is to be in a solution mindset for people. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, I like it.
Okay, so very challenging.
Yeah, so my overall intention always is just to, with this podcast and these conversations that are being recorded for other people to listen to, is to just be a vessel for whatever needs to come through and allowing it to come through. My intention is also to be a vessel for your stories to come through and the stories that want to come through through you and your ancestors and, the spirits around you. And so I guess my intention, is to be a vessel and almost like a magnetizing vessel and just be in this energy of calling the stories forth. Okay, well, let's get into it. I'm going to pass it on to you and let you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you are now, and if you want to tell us too, like where you grew up, or just a brief little introduction on what you do, what you're currently working on.
All praise, all praise. I am Zan, man of many names, blessed to be masterful architect, extraordinary expeditionary, loving provider. Things that I am aiming towards, I am currently embodying, and my practices help me to build and become a better version of that. I am the owner of this Key to Life brand. We're based in Richmond currently, Richmond, Virginia, as of June 2024. A beautiful place that I see could become home for a good little while. My work is personal training services, and I am all around wellness. I like to guide meditations. I like to be and take others along on these extraordinary expeditions, whether that be internal or physically into the woods. Many, many ventures and projects that I am working on, meditating on, manifesting in every day. So if you see me tomorrow and I got a hammer in my hand, like that's just along the route. You see me the next day and I'm chilling in the kayak, don't ask questions, just find a paddle. Let's roll. Very much holler. Oh, gotta mention the socks. I am the creator of Guaranteed Good Day Socks. Key to Life's Guaranteed Good Day Socks. Every time you wear them, you're going to have a good day. Go ahead and get you a pair on keytolife.com. That's KEYTOOLYFE. Look, they're super fly. They're almost as fly as me, but that's a hard thing to beat. I will call claims to Monroe, North Carolina as my home. That's where my family is. That's where my mother is. That's where this all started. For my grandmother, even further on, I really couldn't. I know that we have ties to Virginia. I know we have ties also to New York. So we have ties in Baltimore as well. So I'll say that East Coast is where I'm from. Not really sure if my people are from this planet or not. So that after that, it's a big old question. I'll just say in the last 100 years, we've been on the East Coast of North America.
Okay. All right. So this whole time that we were chatting before we started recording, I was like, oh, I need to put some socks on. My feet are kind of cold. And then I was like, no, I'm fine. And then you started talking and I was like, oh, I'm not wearing my socks. So I'm going to grab my socks. They're right here. I'm going to put them on. Key to Life socks. They definitely are guaranteed good day. Or if you need to do something courageous that day, they're also a great reminder to be courageous and follow your heart's desire.
I am constantly putting energy out into these socks. So I just was, doing a YouTube video and I was exploring the realms of what are the wildest things that I could say. And it came up with a way that I can connect directly to your souls, SOLE.
Oh,
Yeah, directly to your souls. So I'm busting
that's
out
good.
these are probably, oh, each one is unique in the sense of I make them myself. So each one's got a little unique little mess up on each one of them. So I ain't perfect. I ain't perfect. But I'm busting out a new pair. These right
Nice.
here. Key to Life number 10. Let's see if I can get this on there. I'll read it to you. Key to Life number 10 is the reason why I created and started making socks. And honestly, it's the reason why I do everything that I do. Um, Key to Life number 10 is to do things that excite your heart. See if I got this going on. Let's see. Each one comes with a little tidbit, a sacred rhythm between you and the world. Love, dove, the conversation of creation. God dances to this simulation. If your heart is pleased, you should pursue that situation. Whole lot of ways to require no, whole lot of ways that require no litigation. Ride a bike, paint a scene, kiss your friend. Put these socks on and spread some love. You know,
That's a good one.
I ain't never
I need
even
to
put
get
these
it.
on.
I gotta get a new pair. You weren't here when I showed mine, but I got the
Oh,
OGs.
the OGs. Look. Those are fire. Those are my favorite, honestly.
They're good. They fit my feet perfect too. So I don't. I'm pretty sure I told you, but the day that I kind of decided, I had a day a few years ago when we and Shane were still in St. Pete, and I just kind of woke up and I was getting ready for work. This is when I was working at this coffee shop, and then something inside me was like, "You need to go sit down and meditate before you go to work." And I was like, "Okay." So I just did it, and then in my meditation, it was like, "You need to quit your job today." And I was like,
uh, sound
okay.
like how it works.
Which was like, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was supposed to just be a short term job until I found a better job. And then I had
No.
been there for like almost a year at that point. So I had been I never wanted to be in that job anyway. It was a
Yeah.
great place and people to work with. But the restaurant industry was just like, I was really trying to stay out of it because I feel like that can be such a trap. But anyway, so then after that meditation, I was like, all right. And then I was getting dressed and I like put on my comfy shorts, and then something that voice in me was like, no, not those. Like, those are too comfy. So then I put on these like tight the biker
Uh
shorts.
huh.
And so I put those on. I'm like, all right, this will be a reminder to like that I'm
Stay.
uncomfortable.
Uh
And then I
huh.
put your socks on because I was like, this is going to be another reminder every time I look at my socks, like to stick to my word,
Look at
like,
that.
gotta quit the job. And I went through the whole shift. I was like, so in my head, and I was freaking out in my
Do
head, and
it.
I was like trying to convince myself not to do it. And then I was like freaking pulling my shorts out of my ass and like looking down at the
Uh,
socks. And I'm like, ah, damn it, I have to do it. And yeah, ended up quitting my job that day, then came home and told Shane that I quit. And then I was like, that was what started us off. A month later we moved out of our house,
mm,
and then yeah.
look, it'd be like as soon as the thing, energy, the meditation's like, all right, we're gonna do something dramatic today. It's like, hey, hold up now. I was just getting comfortable, and
Yeah.
then that's amazing. Though I think I do remember you telling me that story, and I was like, I think that day I had met. No, I will say that. Not even I think I know that that day I had put energy out that anybody that I will work with in the future, may their will be strong enough to make a courageous decision that day.
Mm,
And then you texted me the next day. You're like, oh, the other day I did this, and I was like, so whenever I speak on synchronicities, like you're like this, man, you were like this, and how this realm works with us, and
yeah.
very strong components. of attractions to
Yeah.
others and to one another.
I can see you sitting there putting your little spells out into your socks. You're like, everybody wearing these socks is going to quit their job today.
Sound like something I would say too. Look, had no other plan, just gonna quit. Just gonna look. And I say that the numbers pick the people, big
Yeah.
time. And I
Yeah.
think Shane got number 8, if I believe so. And his is to encourage and be encouraged by. And he is a very encouraging person in his own realm of like not encouraging, not going to be the one to, dap you up like, oh, go do that, but encouraging in the sense of if you need the support and you think an idea is going to work, he'll be like, you know what, let's kind of brainstorm how this can work and then make it seem like, oh, this can work. And I love that. And I think you got to have faith. And that's just.
Yeah, I got to have faith.
That aligns.
Which is like, yeah, that's so big. That has actually been, it's so funny because I don't realize these things until we're sitting here talking about it. But that has been like my key to life, like through this journey since we moved out of St. Pete. We didn't have any plan. We still don't have a plan. It's been like a year and a half, and that has been the plan, is to have faith and to trust and just like let life take us. And it's led us to really beautiful places, really beautiful people, beautiful opportunities. So major
Look,
key.
major key, yeah. That's one that it's my favorite number, and it's my favorite one. I'll say that about every one of them, but that's my favorite one. That's my favorite one for sure. Thank you. I thank you for being open to one of my first supporters to buy some online.
Oh, nice. Cool.
And I was like, nah, I can't even ship these. Let's pull up.
Got them delivered in person.
Look, I can't promise everybody's gonna get it that way, but shoot, if you got an open house, it's one thing I'm willing to do. I'll travel.
Yeah. Now we got to come up to see you guys.
Come on now, come on. It's a beautiful place Richmond is. Yeah.
And we need to re-up on our merch.
Got some fly hoodies. Got some fly hoodies working.
Yeah.
If you ever, I'm working on a couple more designs. I got my partner's friend is an artist currently in school and draws up some insane. Like she'll sit down. I've heard that story about how was it Picasso or someone was drawing on a napkin, and then they were sitting there in like at a coffee shop, and then they were like, "All right, if you want this napkin, it's going to be $1,000." The napkin is like, "This is literally just a napkin, and you did this in 15 minutes." But I'm like sitting there, I'm mesmerized by the work that she can do in 15 minutes because she's practices her craft on a daily and is pursuing it. And that's why he was like, my value is in the fact that I practice my craft.
Did he sell it?
No, yeah, so he walked out of it. Look, $1,000 for a napkin is crazy. But that just he wasn't in the coffee shop that you used to work at. He might have got him off there.
I would have bought it.
I bet you would have too, yo. You number one supporter, yo.
Spend my last $1,000 on a napkin.
Look, I had faith.
I was watching me and Shane watched the new Avicii documentary the other night. Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
It's really good. It was sad, of course, but do you know Avicii? Like,
I can't say I do. Enlighten me.
He's a DJ, one of the greatest DJs. His thing was melody. Like, he was a genius with creating and like recognizing melodies. I'm not that big into like, the backside of the music scene, but when I was in high school, which I graduated in 2014, And well, I was going to festivals and stuff when I was in high school, so
No,
Avicii's huge. You would know some of his songs, but he I forget which song it was, and his manager was like, "Oh, we're selling it for $500,000," and the guy that was trying to buy it was like, "What? The last I bought the last song for 50,000 or something," and he was like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we have this offer, so if you want to give us, this is what we need if you want to give it to us." And then the guy was like, "No, we can't do that." And then he went and talked to his team, and his team was like, "Do whatever you have to do to get the song." And so then he called him back and was like, "All right, we'll pay $500,000." And then it turns out that like there was never any other offer. His manager was just like, "This is the price we want," and they got it.
Look.
And so yeah, that Picasso napkin story reminds me of that.
Know your worth.
And sometimes you just never know. It's like I've been trying to practice asking for what I want, because it's like, okay, I might get it, or they're just going to say no. Because I feel like a lot of times I will just be like, oh, there's no way they're going to give me this. So I don't ask. But I've been practicing a little bit asking and getting some really cool shit. Just actually getting what I want. And then I'm like, oh, wow, that's awesome.
Look, that is a line that you're worth it. You're worth it, yo.
Yeah.
Because you're not even because you're asking for it, but because you had the courage to present it in that exact. You knew the dollar amount that you wanted, and so nobody can tell you that it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's almost like the universe. The test is in like, do you see your worth? Like the universe is like, I see it. I know you're worthy of it, but do you know, and are you willing to put that out to the world? And then I think when you are, you get that. And obviously sometimes you still get rejected or
yeah.
But then there's the whole aspect of something my mom would say a lot was sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck, which is a quote I think from the Dalai Lama. But I have this like ugly tattoo, this stroke under my mom's signature, and that's my little stroke of luck, just to remember like sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck, which is true.
That's facts. It makes you learn, and then once you learn, you're going to apply in another situation, as long as you are resilient enough to continue.
Yeah. And when, you know, a door closes, even if it's something you really want, it is really, I think one part of being mature is like being able to see that that's not the end of the world. You know, sometimes when you're a kid and you don't get what you want, you're like, oh, the fucking world is over. Like, I never get anything I want.
I ain't never got a dang thing from anybody in this mug. Look, every time I come here, it's no.
Exactly.
Like, no, earlier you just got exactly what you wanted, and now we're just in a different store, and now you tripping.
Yeah. So I feel like part of maturing is like, you know, you want something, you don't get it, and then it's like, okay, then that's not for me, and there must be something greater waiting for me, you know?
Look, we only receive the best possible outcome that the universe has to offer.
Yeah.
And knowing that that's all you receive, when you know that, even if you just got smacked in the face, that was for the best.
Yep.
For the best, because the next one that comes will be the best. And I like to add to that. I just added this yesterday. I love when I get downloads from the universe. We allow ourselves to receive only the best that the universe has to offer for the benefit of all. So it's not even just you didn't get the best because you're a spoiled little brat. You got the best because you know exactly, you have the exact tools to distribute that to everybody who needs to receive that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, you know, rolling your shoulders back and being the boss.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of people will admit, and they're not scared to admit that they do not want to be the boss. But whenever you like are boss material, you can't deny the fact that even just being under somebody will disturb you enough to be like, yeah, I gotta be the boss because it's just I can't do this dumb mess that you got me going on, and I know you can. That's probably why your ass quit that job.
Oh yeah, because like yeah, that guy Dan that I was working for, shout out to Dan, Uptown Eats in St. Pete,
Hey,
such an amazing human, and he was living his dream. Like that was his dream to open up that place, and he worked hard. He worked right next to you, like,
mm,
and I'm so grateful that I got to work for him because it showed me cuz I went from just like working kind of just like whatever job to then I was like, all right, now I want to just work for small businesses who have better values. And then I worked for so many places where it was a small business but they did not have better values. And so for that to be my last job where I worked for someone who he really modeled what it was like to treat
mm,
the people that work for you and with you well and to take care of people and to take care just he's such a caregiver really. It's not even
yeah,
just the people that work for him. He was taking care of everyone. And so I loved being a part of that, but it was also like just like you said, some people want to be the team member helping to make someone else's dream come to life. But
mm,
that's definitely not me. And like yeah, loved being able to do that, but it just like leeches something from my soul. I'm like, I want to be chasing my dream. I don't want to be spending my time building someone else's dream life,
ooh,
you know?
yeah, yeah. That's you're right to
But I love
pursue.
the people that want to do that, and I need those people because I'm like, I need some support over here for my dream. That's something I'm learning too. It's like, I don't know if it's possible to do it all on your own, you know?
I just read a quote, and I think that in this time we're coming out of a very. I think we just. I'm not too much into the universal. I'm into it. I don't can't say that I know it and I can speak on it properly. But I think we just entered kind of the divine feminine kind of phase of the universe. We entered over into the white side of yin and yang. And I think that the divine masculine was big on do it yourself. Do it yourself. Like,
Mm.
and the quote that I read that said, once you know that you can do it yourself, you become unstoppable. But I think that one of my favorite versions of strength is having all the resources in which you need to act accessible. And yeah, sure, I can. I'm a person. I'm gonna try and do it myself for sure.
Yeah.
But if you can do it better and you can do it faster and you've practiced this craft, I see that value now, and I should be able because my hands, I barely can juggle three balls. So if I can get thing, you over there, we can, and together we can juggle six. Let's get it.
Oh, I can't juggle at all.
That that's crazy because I came down there and learned how to juggle, or Kayla learned how to juggle in freaking 2 seconds. It was insane, insane. But well, dang, we're gonna have to learn how to juggle then.
Yeah, it's like just because you can do it doesn't mean you should, you know?
Play
And
your role.
I forget exactly what that quote was that I sit in that little entrepreneur group that we started for the new year, but it was something about, oh, it was, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Can't do it.
And in the message I said about how I think we all need support. I think some most successful people have a team supporting them, but it I was thinking on it later that day and I was like, but it also is like what do you want to which honestly brings us back to the topic of this podcast, which is like sacred reclamation. Like what do you want to devote your life to? Because there's so many things that you can devote your life to, and I think that both of us are people who, dabble in different things, and I think that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And also I'm learning that I learned this on our trip across the country, that you can't see it all, is what I kept telling myself. Like, and you
Uh,
get to a point where it's like you don't even want to, like, it's exhausting. We got
mhm.
like the national park pass, and it's like by the end of our trip we're like, oh, there's a national park right there, and we're like, no, we don't even want to go. Like,
I've seen
it's
a national park before. I don't need to see another one.
but it's just like we only have a certain amount of time in our lives, so what do we want to spend it on? And I
Mhm.
see that a lot through like writing, when I'm reading a book, and like fiction books, the way that authors will kind of like choose their niche and then write several books, and they're so amazing at their little niche. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so maybe that's another key to life, is like pick something and
Uh,
become a master of it. And it doesn't even have to be one thing, pick, but
figure
it's just like you can't, yeah, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. That
can't
feels
do
so
it.
true.
Yeah, no, that is a thing that I'm learning in life is that that the park reference makes that's crazy because I when I go on vacation, I'm like, yo, we can do this, and this. And my partner is very much like one thing a day, two things a day. And I find myself like getting overwhelmed that I'm like, I get worked up about, yo, no. The itinerary says we're going to do X, Y, and Z today, but we only got Y in. What's going on, folks? What's going on? And then, but I sit there and I think about the potency of the one thing that we did do and not having the feeling of being rushed in that
Yeah.
I am over here. I gotta be over here, but I'm over here right now. And so potency, I think what do you want to do with your life? What are you sacredly reclaiming? And how potent do you want it to be?
Yeah.
Um, because I was able to work with a couple of people who work with herbs, and plant medicine. And they spoke on how they lived in South Carolina for a little bit. They were born in Richmond. They moved out to South Carolina for a little bit, and it's a little bit more humid out there. Um, and they said that the medicine there was too potent for them to consume, but they realized that it wasn't too potent. It's just you have to take smaller doses of it. You can't take these
Mm,
doses. It's still very effective medicine for your body. Just you have to know when and how much to use of it because
yeah.
you can't consume every you can't consume the knowledge of every plant. Kind of find your niche of plants that work with you and that you can aid in their experience as well as and share their story as much as they can enhance your story.
Yeah.
If that, I know that'll resonate with a couple people, especially
It
some
def
people.
it definitely does. Like, plants are have spirits the same way people do, so it's almost like not everybody's going to like you, and you're not going to like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So just letting those people who naturally magnetize towards you, or who you naturally magnetize to, like, being okay with that. Yeah, that potency, like, it's in the dose. That's a big metaphor, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. You are very potent to people. Some people can't deal with that potency. But going back to that, the aspect of value, the services that you set your value at, some people may see, oh, this is too much. It's just not for them. And
Yeah.
that's not to speak high or low of them. That is to speak flat out. That's just not for them at this. What I offer is not for them. And then the universe wants to support you in the same way that the plants will find you. The people that will support you will find you, and they'll be at that exact value that you desire it for. And there's nothing that will stop them from supporting you at
Yeah.
the exact phase that you're at. I am a lot better at selling socks in person than I am online. currently. But sometimes when I sell my socks in person, I'll sit up and I'll just be like, you pay what you want for the socks, whatever you value the socks at. And I sell them depending on the venue. My flat line, I live with the number 16. So I sell them for $16. But when I say that, I very rarely have I been offered less than $16. That number has gone up to like two pair of socks for $45 for $50, or it's been, you know, like once or twice I've been two for 11, and I'll take that. Yeah, if that's the value in that you see in the socks, and that's what you can offer me right now, I'll take that. And so it's like, don't be so set on a price either, but
Yeah.
know what you desire out of it, and just that knowing. It doesn't even have to be expressed. That knowing will be returned back to you
Hmm.
in some dope ways. The other day, I got off five pair. Dude sent me $100 for five pair. I was like,
Nice.
yo, you going crazy. People got it. We live in the most abundant time in
Oh
this
yeah.
universe right now.
And people love spending money.
Yo, that is look, you got me. I love you. If you love spending money, hey, come talk to me. I can sell you something. We can
I
get you
gotta
some.
recruit you. You need to be on my
Come
sales
on,
team.
come on. We can get you some tonics. We can get you some sessions. It's gonna make you feel better. It's what we got. It's gonna make you be better, look better, and just have better feelings. Nah, that is one of the my truths that I live by is that the universe wants to support you.
Oh yeah. Universe loves you.
And I got this one straight from the source right over here. All that in which you desires you.
Mm.
That has
Yep.
been major in my last 6, 7 months.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you want wants you back.
I will add this on the realm of it being solution based. When you start practicing these mantras, when you start practicing this way of thinking, it does not, the return may not be as soon as you desire. If you connect it at the exact time and the right time, there will be a scenario where you just got introduced to something and it went like that. But do not expect that every time
Yeah.
because you will receive it in divine time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for saying that. I think that's important because I feel like a lot of people will go down this, I don't know, they get on the beginning of their spiritual path or their healing journey or start manifesting or meditating or whatever they're doing. And they get discouraged because they're like, it doesn't work. Like, it's not working. And it's like, I think for one, like how we understand time is so limited, and I don't think it's correct at all in modern day. And also, I just think that there's so many tests that like God or the universe is showing you. It's like this is not a like you're building a relationship when you begin on your spiritual path or when you begin being in
Mm-hmm.
conversation with God or the universe. It's not ordering a pizza, you know. You can't just it's not like, "Hey, I want this," and then it shows up at your doorstep. It's not Amazon, you know. So, I think the universe is really like, "Okay, I hear that you want this, but also like what are you doing for me? Are you making any offerings? Do you have your gratitude? Are you grateful for what you have now? Are you using what you have now? Like that's another lesson that I've been sitting with this past year is like stewarding what you already have and doing that well while also, dreaming and wishing for more. But like when you're asking for more, I think that you have to learn how to handle what you have now well. before you're going to be gifted that more. Or you might be gifted it. You might be gifted what you're asking for, even if you're not stewarding what you have. But you're probably going to get overwhelmed, and like it's not going
Yeah.
to go well.
Look,
You know?
yeah. It is not for you to question. I will say if you haven't received it yet, and that doesn't mean that you're not. I'll say that too. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not doing something correct, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the people that are to support you haven't also met that. They're not at that state of mind yet. Maybe else is how I validate it for myself.
Yeah.
Um, I also that like you know you are gifted with every tool and what you need to prosper. So you must, maybe it's a matter of you have the tools already, just are you using your resources in the correct way so that they can, make something shape, make something
Yeah.
shape. And it's like you may not have the exact right now I'm uh which I'll go into later. My desire is to get my current DJ set is broken. The thing music whenever I go to switch over, this one doesn't register that it's playing music, so it's like I'll be like, okay, let's go ahead. Near nothing. I mean, I just boo. And I'm like, man, I don't even want to practice. I don't even want to be on there right now. But I do have a piano, in which I am not practicing on it daily, but the music is still here. Or maybe I'm just supposed to be consuming music right now, hearing different music before I get back into a practice of creating with the DJ set. Because I may not have the abundance of funds to go get this new DJ, the one that I desire, but there's other tools around me that I could probably better utilize. Or maybe I'm just, whenever it happens, I'll be most grateful for it whenever it happens, whenever I
Yeah.
get that one. And I'll be like elevated to a level where I can use that and not be overwhelmed by all these new buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. There's
you,
so much going on like in the field beyond us that we can't see, you know?
mhm. that, that speaking of time being bigger than us, like beyond our comprehension, is a big book that they talk about, or a big thing that they talk about in my book.
Okay.
Uh, and I guess I can ask you, are there any cycles that you are becoming more aware of?
There's a lot.
Uh huh.
I
We can
mean,
give
as
a
a
few.
woman, I'm on the same cycle as the moon, so that is such a gift as a woman, is to
Praise.
be on that cycle and be on that same rhythm, and that reveals so much to me. And then I'm also starting to see like these like seasonal cycles, these yearly cycles, maybe even like 7-year cycles.
Ooh, now we're speaking. Now we're speaking.
Yeah. All I mean,
They
and
say that.
I'm sure there's ones that go back way farther and way longer than that.
Yeah, yo. As a plant person, a garden person, a growing season
Yeah.
was literally like you had to get all this in 3 or 4 really months, and we've been able to multiply that cycle by a lot. So we got 4 different gardens. We can still garden in the winter now. Like that's an
Yeah.
insane growth of cycles to think about. I don't know if that necessarily aligns, but yeah, there's our cycles. I've been in tune with the moon for the past. I always work night shifts at warehouses, so at the end of my or middle of my break, I'm going outside. I'm just looking up, and I'm like, "Where's she at? What's she doing? Why are these people in here acting so damn crazy right now?" The moon gotta be full right now, and so I am obsessed with the moon.
Yeah.
I'm a moon child, so I am a little bit jealous that y'all really be in tune with the moon. Y'all really be.
Yep. I don't know if you saw my story the other day. I was talking to men and I was like, maybe you'll be blessed in your next lifetime to be born a woman.
Shit, one can only wish.
Yep. Keep praying.
Look, I'm gonna come back as like a woman, damn wombat or something. Not even gonna be a damn human woman.
I woke up this morning and the bed is right there. That's where I sleep, and then there's a window in front of the computer. And I woke up this morning and like the moon was right there, and I was like, "Oh, so cute."
Welcome.
Got to see her before she went to sleep.
All praise, all praise.
I didn't get up though. I got up to let the dog out, and then I went back to sleep.
Look, that's all you needed. That little encounter, a little daft up. What's up, moon?
Yeah,
How you living?
it was nice.
You in well, you in St. Pete right now? Or are you in Florida?
I am in Steenhatchee, Florida, which is like North Florida.
Okay.
But yeah, in Florida. Yep.
I was about to say
We're down here for a couple months.
I was mesmerized by your Tennessee, your Butler place, and I was like, they probably had some crazy moon like nights out there.
Yeah, that place was awesome. Definitely sad to let that go, but also having faith that there's something better waiting. That place was epic, though.
That was what.
And you didn't even get to see it during the day, did you?
Look, no, I got more than enough in the night. The one night that I was there, I was like, yo, I know that place resonated. I was happy, like belated with you being there, y'all two being there, and your experience there. I feel like I got to enjoy all of that through y'all.
Yeah, that was just like so amazing to, I mean, I don't know if anything's random, but for lack of a better word, randomly end up there. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, how the heck did we end up here? I'm like, this is beautiful. This is literally like the land of my dreams, what I've been praying for, just like that view on the porch and just like, you know, it showed up in a mysterious way. And, you know, there were some things that were a little off with it, but it was also just very cool to see like, whoa, this is what I've been praying for. And it was a lesson in like, okay, get more specific with your prayers,
Mm.
you know,
Mm-hmm. That's
yeah, because I remember hearing that, and with like manifesting, you want to be super specific, but at the time when I was in St. Pete and I was like praying and manifesting these things, I could only get as specific as I could. So I was like, I don't know, I want to be in a house out in land surrounded by trees, out in nature. And that was kind of all I was manifesting.
like, yeah, we got that.
Yeah. So now it's like, all right, now I'm going to get really specific, really focusing in on my whys this year. Like still feeling aligned in everything we've been calling in and praying for the past few years. But now since we have been bouncing around so much, it's like, okay, we like this, we don't like this, we like this, we don't like this. And then also being like, okay, why do I actually even want this?
Do I still even want this?
Yeah. Or like when you sit down and you're like, why do I even want this so bad? And then you can only think of like two reasons, and then it's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. So, but I'm trying not to be too type A about it at the same time.
Because the universe can give you
crazy.
like some crazy encounters. It's like, maybe I want it, but I also want like this hint of randomness to come through it. I want to see what you can create with for me, universe.
Friggin' Butler, Tennessee, like who's ever heard of that?
Dane texted me. He said, "Yo, she's staying in meat camp." I said, "What are you talking about, cuz? Don't say these crazy ass words to me, bro. Like, I'll smack you. Say some crazy shit like that." And then I'm driving by and I see a sign that says meat camp, and I'm like, "Oh, wow."
I was glad that the for the meat camp place, the address was still Boone, so you didn't have to like write meat camp, North Carolina on your mail.
That was out there. That was
But I learned the story behind why it was called that, and then I was like, okay, that's actually cool. And there's like, you know, all the like wealthy people that are moving up there now, and my neighbor that's lived there for a while was telling me like they want to change it to MEET camp instead of MEAT because they were like they don't like people get like grossed out by the name of meat camp. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, let it be raw.
There's a historical aspect to it, you know. And
Yeah,
sometimes we just have to like, yeah, dig a little deeper to get the story to understand each other and just like why things are the way they are in the world.
It's supposed to be that way.
I'm actually just gonna roll with that and use it as a segue to get more into your story. And yeah, I would love, before we get into, you know, our bigger question of what are you reclaiming as sacred or your reclamation story, give us a little bit of a background on who you are. Just set the tone for us so that we can understand who you are, and maybe if you want to weave in a couple important stories or markers in your life just so that we can get to know you a little better.
All right, so it starts in year 0.
Before conception.
Yeah, right. My mother, I come from a strong line of women. I'll say that first and foremost. I come from a very strong line of women. My grandmother, her grandmother, on both sides, my grandmothers gave birth to some legendary women. My mother is only child, but my grandmother took care of her family, her sisters, and helped aid in the ways that she could. My grandmother bought 2 houses in her lifetime. And so I was blessed in the sense of I never had to move. I'll say that that is a big marker in my life because I see that in other people's lives, that the constant not knowing where they were going to be next year, and having to pick up things and move was not my reality. And I have my grandmother to thank for that. My mother was a strong single mother. So, you know, maybe that is stereotypical of a Black man's experience nowadays, but I do not never have I let that define me. Very much so. If you see Zan, you ever see my face anywhere, you ever see my brand anywhere, I would like for you to think that that is a Black man. This is the Black man's story. This is a Black man reaching in his bag and pulling out all his tricks. I'm not going to say Black man reaching his full potential, but damn close to it. I am of man of motion. I enjoy motion. Has always been my escape from all the things that, you know, all the travesties of life, all the dramas of life. And so motion has been the escape. So we'll start my story. It's about like 2016, stepping out of the house, going to college. I feel like we'll start my story with death, as so many stories should really be started in the cycle. This death was my real first. Okay, so we must start in 2015 then. Death. The death of my grandmother was a big impact in my life. And I think that's when I actually received my first consciousness of my anger and that things have impacts. My actions have impacts on the people around me, but also a lack of care for the impact that I leave. I love the term Kendrick Lamar uses, misusing your influence. A lot of like big time. I realize that I have an influence. And that was because of my grandmother passing. I realized that I have a role to play in this family. And it's not go out and, I'm not role-less. There is no, everybody has a role. And that was my first time of being aware that, this has an impact on my mother's life. And our weekly schedule. Our weekly schedule was let's go on Sunday, we're going to church, and then we're going to churches right by my grandmother's house. So after that, we're going to spend all day at my grandmother's house. I'm going to do yard work for my grandmother. And this is just the role that I have to play. So I
What was
guess,
your grandmother's name?
shout out to Hattie Mae Brace.
Hattie Mae
HM,
Brace.
yeah, HMB, a solid look. Taught me everything about work ethic that I needed to know. If you know any Capricorns, you know that they are driven. Yeah, they are driven mother frickers right here. She was born on the calendar New Year,
All
January
right.
1st. And so she was able to accomplish some amazing things. And she was able to teach me if you have faith, you have faith, and you have a work ethic, and you are aware of your surroundings and things like that, that you can do it. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter your race, your gender, your location, nothing, none of that matters. And she still teaches me that every day. Blessed to have a dope connection with her. And I think my whole family has they still live in the house that she passed in. So she's still there. I'll tell you that right now. You walk in the house, HMB, she don't play. And you will be corrected. I remember, damn, that's, um, in the kitchen. That's her. She also taught me how to cook. Well, gave me a love for cooking. But in the kitchen, I spill something on the floor, then I go grab a dish rag, like, and I wipe it up the floor with it. And before I even looked up to go put the dish rag back, you don't use no damn dish rag to do that. And I swear, every time I spill something on the floor, I'm looking around like, what can I use? What can I use? Because that hand is coming. Um, but some you just don't play about. But she loved to dance. My mother inherited that. So I too love to dance. I cannot stop myself from dancing sometimes. It's a little embarrassing. Um, but if there's music, I'm going to dance. Hattie Mae Brace. All praises to her, who I think that she has an expectation of me that is realistic to what I expect for myself. And I think that that is true with my brothers. I have three brothers who are big in the story as well. We're about all 5 years apart. So my middle brother, he's right there. And then I'm 10 years away from my oldest brother.
Are you the baby?
I am the baby child. I'm the baby child. But I'm also, I'm grown. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
I don't play with me. I'm grown. um, so my pops, who was not necessarily in the picture, did his thing. I have to give him props for that. He paid child support, and he, to the best of his ability, was able to guide me to the best of his ability. And I have to give him the props that he did it to the best of his ability. Growing back, and he's luckily, all praise, both of my parents are alive. All of my grandparents have passed, and my grandpa was a preacher, which that my grandpa on my mother's side was a preacher. So I feel like that aligns with me in some ways. I've heard that I'm supposed to be a preacher, and I fought that for a little bit, and now I'm like, I guess I'm just in my own way. I'm preaching in my own way.
Can I ask, with your dad and you saying that he was able to guide you in the best that he could, is that something that you always knew your whole life, or did you have a moment where you realized that?
No, I feel like I had a lot of anger towards my pops because my pops and my grandmother on my mom's side, the house that we used to go to every Sunday was a 5 minute walk from his house.
Okay.
And so it's like, and I saw this man twice a year on holidays and things like that. So it was like, I was like, bro, you live right around here. And I know where you live. I know that you don't necessarily leave the house too much. But him and my grandmother were best of friends. They were like uh, drinking buddies. I'll say that.
Okay.
Alcoholism goes in there, and but the I say the best of his ability because my mother um, didn't necessarily. So my mother remarried to my look. That's a whole story. I can explain that. Remarried to not remarried. My mother married my stepdad, who is my middle brother's father. Um, he went to prison for a little while. That's his story to tell. So in between there, that's when my mother and my father got together.
Okay.
And then he got out of prison, and then my mother got back with him. So I say that to say because my pops was a wise enough man to realize that you can't make somebody love you. And that, if you're not chose, then there's no point in going and making a problem in this situation. If the man coming back is like, if the guards are up, it's like play your part, play your role. Don't try and overstep any boundaries. Make it available every time. It's one thing that he said is like a phone works both ways, which I have, some problems with because I'm a 6-year-old child, bro. I barely even, I don't know your number.
Yeah.
How to reach me. And also, I'm right around the corner. But he still made it to where that, like, we want to talk. I guess I didn't realize that until I moved back home 2020 type joint. Me and him started getting closer. And I realized my pops does have abuse problems. And he'll be the first one to admit it. But my pops does not bother anybody. And my pops will be the first one to help see how he can help you. So my he's the man. He go by a man of many names as well. Darrell is one of his names. Uh, he also goes by last name Handsome, first name Real, and he love to go right down and talk about it. But Hunter is also one of his names. But he's a man, and he is a black man as well. He's a black man of his time, and I think that he has made with all the pressures, external pressures put on a black man, he made the best of his situation. And my only quarrel with him is he does not choose to continue to fight, but I can see how somebody who has been beat up on their whole life and constantly been stepped on and just chooses not to go out and try anymore. I can see that. But that's just not my story, not my current story. It may be my story in life when I'm like 156, but it's just not my current story. So I'm living to 200, guys. I'm putting that on everything. I'm living to 200. So yeah, I think that me going back home in 2020, I lived in my grandmother's house. 2021 it must have been, and so I was in to say with intent, I was in a womb of blessings of nurturing. And going back home was the best thing that could have happened to me because my family was there. I was out struggling, and going back home was like a return to the nest and was all the nourishment that I needed to go back out and become this version that you see here. So all praise, shout out to Monroe 704. Shout out to JVE. I didn't even speak on that story, but my start begins with death. So if you're currently experiencing death, just know that it starts over and you'll prosper again. And the synchronicities of life. I was listening to your podcast, your first episode, the one that you share your story, and the cycle then repeated in 2018 for me, and a similar sense with death again. And that death, then you go down to depths that you didn't necessarily know that you could reach or that you maybe tried to avoid, but you needed to go to those depths in order to sprout even. A tree's roots got to grow deeper for it to get taller.
Yeah.
I can speak on that. I guess that's still a sensitive subject for me. But it's kind of like the creativity of what encouraged me to be a creator.
Death.
My boy, my homie, long time friend, 11 plus years before. Like I met this dude when I was 11 years old. And he spent every days of the week in my house. I would wake up and then this dude would be in my room, but he would sleep right next to my bed. I had this little cot on the ground, and I wake up and I'm like, how do you even get here, bro? Like, who let you in? Like, he just popped up. And this was my dog. This was like real life brother. His name was Don Cuevas Davis. And he is the creator of Jungle Boy Entertainment. 2018. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. So 2016 is where I was going to start this story. I had an ego death. That's the year I graduated high school. My ego death was, I used to go by the Black Jesus, guys. The Black Jesus 11. I don't necessarily know if that I resonate with that anymore, but if you are on Twitter, look, whatever that dude said, he's a crazy motherfucker. But 2016, he died. 3 days later, he rose again as Zan. That ego death was also the death of a relationship that I was in, a long-term relationship. About 4 years on that, and I was just like, all right, it didn't align with my life anymore, and so I had to discover what it meant to be a Black man. And if there are any Black men listening here, I'm debating on whether or not you might have to. I think every Black man. I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna say it. Every Black man has to be a drug dealer in order to become a functioning person in the society. That's why it's a common trope. That's why you hear, but it's like also the role that the universe kind of puts on you, pressures you into thinking. The music influences it. It's the only person that you see that has any aspect of wealth, any perception of wealth, that's going to go get it and has it and has achieved. So it is geared that you have to be a drug dealer. And so I had to experience that. And I'm not going to say I was, I wasn't head on show. I was none of that. I just was able to make a living for a good bit off of distributing drugs. And there's nothing wrong with that. This economy is ran by the largest corporation of drug dealers in the whole entire world. The Italians, the mob, they were drug dealers. Drugs run this world. Drugs are the food that you eat, the medicine that you take. Drugs are music. It's a drug, and drugs are just the frequency that operate this world. Where you see dollar signs go, you see drugs go. So don't let anybody up. If you're currently dealing drugs, you are not trapped, and you are not a villain of anybody in anybody's story. You're a human being, and you're going through a cycle that you're meant to go through. Especially if you're a black man, that's part of your cycle. You are not. You are trapped whenever you think that that's your only way of of making a living. And so I'm a human being who refuses to be trapped by anything. So, but I wouldn't have done this without my homeboy. He passed away due to gun violence, and that was a traumatic, very traumatic thing that happened on May 1st, 2020, 2018, May 1st, 2018. My boy lost his life, my brother lost his life, and right before my 21st birthday, and that's whenever the cycle started over. I had to find a way to reinvent myself as this man known as Zan. So some of y'all may know Zan as the greatest drug dealer in the world. You might know me as that, but hey, that's not him no more. I got to fly socks in the world. You need some socks. I still use some socks, but I saw the quote. I can't even. Let me see. I enjoy giving praise to people as they. I know her name as Jocelyn. I just met Jocelyn this week, and she said that she is a hope dealer.
Hope.
Hope dealer. And I was like, yeah, that's fire. So now you boy out here in the game with Dylan Hope. I hope my mom don't see that. Man, yes she do. But a lot of people, I think that, I think as a black man, I think that is potentially area that you might travel down. And I do not want to be, what's that word? The thing that Instagram be doing.
Oh, censor?
Censor. I do not want to censor your experience for anything. Like, be raw, yo. Like, it just might be what you have to go through. And I know for a lot of the black men that I know, that's the experience that they had to go through. And you learn from it. Whether you learn from it before you go to jail or before you end up in worse situations, that's just whenever you got to learn it. You got to learn at some point. You will learn it. And your cycle may have to go through the death cycle and return again. But you got to be open to all the realities. You may make it. Hey, I'll put that out there. You may make it as a drug dealer. You may be a successful drug dealer. You may make that money. You may drive the cars that you want to drive. You may live the life that you want to live. And I pray that you do. But no but to it. I pray that you do. Do it. Just do it great.
I wonder, something that came up for me when you were talking about how you said every black man has to be a drug dealer. And I just wonder do you think that is a distortion of being a medicine man? Like back in our past cultures where we came from before, that black men really served the role as medicine man.
I believe that.
With everything getting twisted in our modern society and culture and the way things have gone with drugs and the war on drugs and all these crazy drugs that get made up and mixed up in the lab, that's a whole big topic. But yeah, that's what came up for me, was like seeing black men as medicine men.
That's major. I used to call myself Dr. Zan, street pharmacist. And I think that, that does, because the connectivity of that we can relate to any being that there is in this world, you'll find a black man on that continent. And at the connectivity that we have to the spiritual realm and observations of Earth, I think that would make a lot of sense as to being a medicine man. I like that more so than drug dealer. Has such an ugly connotation to it.
Well, and they don't use it accordingly. Like, they only want to use the guy on the street as a drug dealer, but the, you know, higher educated white man in a suit going into doctors' offices pushing opiates, they want to call him a pharmaceutical rep. It's like, that's a drug dealer.
They don't pay him a lot more, too.
Yeah.
They want, hey, shoot, nah, I want that 2 for $20 cut. Oh, you paying 2 for 20,000.
Yeah.
No, that was very insightful for you. I like that. I think that me just speaking on that saying right there, that my resistance of saying that was my ancestors being like, nah, say that shit, cuz.
Yeah.
It's not something that I would even, that's not my brand. That's not even my brand that I want to present, but I'll let it be. And I'll say that as a truth in which I believe. Because look, yo, there's a reason why medicine sells, and it's a healing thing, a healing component to it. Whenever I was doing this, I felt that I was giving the people that were in a, and you know what? I'm gonna live that way too. Marijuana is a healing plant, and it comes to you at a time whenever you need to be healed in a depressive state, and it kind of numbs you to the senses of things. And sometimes when you're overstimulated, that sensitivity brings you down, and that you're in a desired physiological state at that time. That if you stayed down here for so long, you just were gonna. This is how you experience joy for a good bit. So, and this is the access in which you need to it. But with every medicine, when that medicine has done its job, it is your job to not take that medicine anymore. That medicine is supposed to get you to a healthy state of being, and not a chronic dependency upon it. So it's like, use it, go back, use it whenever you feel when it feels right to use it. And I am not one who will tell you to not take drugs. I will tell you if it feels right. I encourage you to, and you feel safe in a safe environment, pursue it. And just don't blame me if your ass end up in jail. Don't blame me, because there's levels of stimulation in which the euphoric feeling can get you to, and psychedelics are another way of stimulating. Like, it's crazy how, speaking on medicine, man, one of my brothers, all right, so in my immediate family, not gonna name them, but 3 people, 3 of the closest Black men to me equate over 21 years in the penitentiary system, whether that be off and on, but like if you add up all their time together, 21 years. That's 21 years of life that they could have been, if they were properly supported, they could have been anything they wanted to be. Like, anything and these are all well-driven men that were, if you could just give them a path to go on, they're going to follow that path. 21 years of their life have been robbed away. And now, and even more, my brother currently is going through the phases of what's the word? Institutionalization. Get out of prison, you have to come back into a completely new world that you did not enter in. And you're also older. You also cannot get a job as a felon. How are you going to be the president? Never mind. There's so many things you can't do as a felon or somebody that just got out of jail. Your every meal was not, you did not cook it. It was presented to you. So that took no effort. You go to a lunch hall, not, you go to a store, you buy this and then you prep it. I say that to say 21 years of their lives plus robbed. And now you see dispensaries. You see different, and not many dispensaries are owned by black people.
Yeah.
But white people, you see all these people benefiting from the work that a medicine man, a black medicine man, put in and wanted to distribute because they see the healing benefits of it now. But nah, 10, 15 years ago, this was damn devil's lettuce. This was the devil's work. I think that the universe will make that right. You know, I ain't really tripped on it because it's not mine. But I like to express that that's a little messed up. 21 years in my experience have been robbed from me and even more. But people are making multi billion. Colorado's full economy has been stimulated just off of being legalized. And that money is not going into the streets that were robbed of the origins of distributing just marijuana alone.
So. Yeah, that's a good point. Like that would be a beautiful way to try to repair. Not that there's any way you can make up for 21 years of life locked up like a freaking animal, which I don't think animals should be locked up like that either. But if they use the money from that to right the way that people spent their life rotting in jail or prison for selling marijuana by putting it back into their communities, like that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
It would still be fucked up, but it would be like what is the word? It's not repair, but reparations.
Reparations.
I guess that is repair.
Yeah.
Like
it'd be a start for reparations for sure, and I think that
be
is
a start.
A way that we could do that without it having economical impact on the set us back. Instead of giving every black person $40,000, I understand that's detrimental. That's to the economy. But just take one industry that's doing well and is going to continue to do well. You will never see marijuana industry going down because look, the only reason why you might see that is because of what they're putting in it and how they're growing it, the potency of it, and people waking up to the actual effects of it. That dispensary shit don't even be as good. Hey, keep shopping with your medical man, your medicine man.
Don't support your local drug dealer. Support your local medicine man and woman.
And woman, especially the women, because the women we date every day. I don't think that nobody really wants to do it. I think that people kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that also comes from the connotation that has been put on it.
Yeah.
That it ain't even that bad.
Well, and it's like, I don't know, another conversation is that it's kind of sus, at least for me, once, the legalization of marijuana and now it's all handled by the government and the way everything is done, like that makes me want to buy from the same guy I'm buying from even more, Mm-hmm. I don't really want to put my trust and faith in what they're selling but it also even would make me question my relationship to the plant itself, because they see it now they're seeing the healing properties of it, but it's also like, I don't know, it just makes me sus. And it has nothing to do with the plant itself, of course. Mm-hmm. But the energy and the intention and the motivation behind it is something to question, I think.
Yeah. Growing in a laboratory session with the artificial sunlight, that alone is a thing.
That's not the same. It's not the same product.
And they've been able to extract what makes you the highest. And I don't think that weed was about getting you the highest. It was about getting you in a feel-good state, a state of like, getting you mellowed out. Not every time you're blasting your brain to get the highest that you can achieve. Sometimes you might catch you a bag of boof and you smoke that down and you're like, dang, I ain't even get high from this. But that's whenever, that boof might have been CBD and it might have been relaxing to your nervous system rather than
Wait, what's boof?
boof. Oh, you know what boof is. Everybody done had some
I
boof
have a
before.
different I have a different definition of boof, I feel like, than you
Uh,
do.
boof is somebody farted in the bag and they handed it to you. It was a boof. They handed you some boof because that joint was just ain't even worth smoking. It's like you really handed me your part and you sold it to me for 35. Yo, and the prices on trees going crazy.
Yeah. And I would caution anyone to be weary of when the whole plant isn't being used, when they're extracting specific constituents out of the plant. Like, anytime you're messing with the original design of nature, there's going to be consequences. It's like this plant was created in its whole form exactly the way it was designed to
Yeah,
enter your body and your spirit and work its magic. It's like when you get into a lab and you're like, let's pull this out and only take this. It's like that's when, yeah, you start fucking with God's creations.
Uh-huh.
And what do you think is going to happen? Like it's gonna just, that's not the original design. So the way it's going to interact in your body is so different than how the whole plant would interact in your body. It's back to that whole conversation of potency. It's too
Mm-hmm.
potent and it doesn't have all the, protective mechanisms that it has in its whole natural original state.
Yeah, that's very insightful. I think because who are you to think that you can make God's creations better?
Right?
Bro, you gotta be tripping. You must be smoking that shit that you selling, and that's just absurd.
Yeah. It's Imagine how much less work and stress we would have if we could just like leave stuff alone, if we didn't fuck up the original design of so much stuff.
Nature does it its damn self. Nature does it for you, yo.
And it corrects and
And
evolves and becomes better over time. Like you don't really
exactly.
have to do much.
You don't just enjoy what you got, but have gratitude for what you got. So
Yeah.
that is, look, we can learn. Key to life number 11. Somebody buy Key to Life number 11. Read it out. Read it out loud to the people. That's major. No, you can't. Like, I like that too because nature is steadily evolving and it's steadily getting better every day. It's under the same pressures that we are, if not even more, because it has to deal with us.
Yeah.
And that's probably why your local drug dealer is going to have better stuff than what is it when it comes to farms or not when it comes to what nature has when it comes to the shrooms the marijuana when it comes to you ever mess I know you do mugwort.
Mhm.
Yeah, that stuff right there crazy.
Yeah.
That
My dad actually loves mugwort. He started taking that tincture I made and
mm,
he's gotten 2 bottles of it. I thought that was so interesting that that was what he gravitated to.
everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah, mugwort's an amazing plant. So interesting.
It does so many things, yo. And
Yeah.
like you're talking about, like the the mechanisms that nature went through in order that this not only can be for people who want to enlighten their third eye, first eye, I call it, um, but also if you want you want your nervous system to be regulated, you want your digestive system to be enhanced and on a more natural rhythm. Like I'm not really too sure exactly what mugwort, the extent of what mugwort can do, but from what I've dealt with it, it is an amplifier for sure.
Yeah, that's the one you got for Kayla, Sacred Dreamer
Sacred
Mugwort.
dream.
If anyone is curious about Mugwort and wants to try it out, you can go to sacredreclamation.com and
Go
buy a
ahead.
bottle of the Sacred Dreamer tincture.
Then that, go ahead. Be like a daddy. Buy two of them.
Yeah, buy
Buy
two.
two. Yeah.
Get three, get one for your dad, get one for your mom.
Mhm. Joint, look, and then sit around and have stories about what you experienced and the next coming weeks, because it's a time to be had and a story to be told.
Yeah, have you ever heard about that? It's like a culture, maybe it's in South America, but every morning they gather together and they tell the story of their dreams and then they help each other like process their dreams and they do that before they start their day.
That sounds like something that I need to go pursue, because I have always been fascinated by dreams.
Yeah.
What are they? And to have remembering your dreams is something that you should validate first thing in the morning too. As soon as you have a dream, you wake up from it, you be like, okay, let's write as much as I can remember of it. Let's
Yeah.
jot it down, and to share it with somebody would be is always healing. I love when I wake up and I'm like, I had a crazy dream, and let my partner know
Yeah.
about it. I can see that being very bonding.
Yeah, my dream world has like expanded so much the past probably like year and a half. I would say one from introducing mugwort, but then also from not drinking alcohol anymore and also like greatly reducing the amount that I smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
And now I haven't smoked in a while. I haven't had the desire to in a while, but yeah, there is something about marijuana that like kind of clouds your. It's not that you don't dream, but you just don't really remember your dreams
I
as
heard you don't.
much.
From my understanding, I heard that you don't hit the REM cycle
Mm.
uh, into such a depth. Like you'll get there, and that's why the fatigue kind of goes on if you smoke for a long time. People are kind of tired, constantly tired.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I that was one thing that a big reason that got. I mean, there was many, but why I wanted to stop smoking is because I was just so tired in the morning. You know, you have that like weed hangover.
uh-huh.
Just like you
And,
just can't get going. It's like that
so,
doesn't feel good.
yeah, and I guess I never really dreamed out of drink when I was a big drinker. Not noticeably dreamed, but yeah, right now my dreams are on fire because and I gotta admit that some of them are a little terrifying sometimes. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like that's I got the source of that. So I would love to look if you find out where that tribe is and you want to take a trip and see if they'll let us in and discuss some of our dreams. Yeah, I'd be down through it with you.
Yeah,
I think that
that'd be cool. Or we
from
could just start a little dreamers club.
we could just start a dreamers club.
That'd be
And
cool to, if we end up living in the same spot one day, we have like one day a week where we get together in the morning, drink some coffee and tea, and talk about our dreams.
go ahead and put that up there. Um, nah, yeah, that'd be dope. I'd be having some crazy dreams. One of my favorite dreams to have is playing rugby. I enjoy it.
Playing rugby. Oh, yeah, you're a big
Yeah,
rugby guy, aren't you?
big rug. And cool. I think I took a little mugwort one time and was having a dream. Like the thoughts were racing about rugby before I went to sleep, and I continued to practice in my mind, like while I was asleep, and I can notify that as a very positive dream that I've had off of some
Nice.
mugwort influences. Well, guys, while she's gone, let's go ahead and tap in with your boy Zan over on the piano. Let's see. Let's see. I ain't done this in a while. Then now we tapped in. was giving them a little interlude. Something like that. Something like that. Little interlude for y'all.
Let's get into your reclamation story. So, what are you reclaiming in this lifetime? What's your message? What song are you singing? What dance are you dancing? Yeah, what are you reclaiming as sacred in this life?
Praise. What a magnificent question, yo. Like, honestly, I knew that your name was, that your brand's name was this. And then when you asked the question, it clicked again. I'm like, holy junk, yo. This person is a lot more in depth than I have ever experienced, ever perceived him to be. And so that's fire. And I'm not a person of, my vocabulary is growing. Reclamation, how you pronounce it?
Yeah, reclamation. I mean, it comes from reclaim.
Word. So I have thought long and a lot about this since you have presented it to me.
It's a big question.
It is, yo, and it like you should be reclaiming everything that you find precious to you. I feel like that is your job. Me personally, I am reclaiming my worth. I think that is my purest way of expressing it. I'm reclaiming my worth. My worth is no longer tied to a dollar sign. It is no longer tied to the external factors. My worth is purely an internal feeling, a euphoric feeling, and it relates so much with how I feel. And I would like to say when I feel most sacred is when I feel joyfully liberated. Joyfully liberated. Financial abundance is a aspect of it, but that goes more into the next one, which is a redistributor of wealth. So not only my worth, but I would like it to, especially when it comes to you see me as a black man, the black man's worth in the community and everything that you see happening, and especially the people of Monroe, North Carolina, and all my 704 people, my family, the Huntleys, the Braces, and the Robinsons. List goes on. The Smiths. I'm reclaiming our worth, and sacredly, my worth is we allow our worth to not be influenced by any external factors, but only a factor of the relationship between the God and me and the God of this universe. So as long as I stay right, yeah, you said God fund me. That went crazy.
That was just a typo, but I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, look, God fund me.
Look, ain't no mistakes in this world of intention, cause I was like, yo, there she go again. That's good. I feel like God funded me, yeah. God will And it's taken me a little bit of, so I got this poem. I might bust it down if I can find it. Wrote it probably 3 moons ago. I think it's about like right in October of 2024. I was challenged. 2024 challenged my, a black man's job currently in this America is to be the labor, be the last labor, work in the warehouse, be the Amazon truck driver, be the feet on the ground while everything else is, head high in the sky, living in the penthouse. The common black man. Like Django said, you can't talk to that. Can I say nigga on here?
You can say whatever you want.
Hey, he said, you can't talk to that nigga like no other nigga because that there nigga ain't like no other niggas. And so I resonated with that. Look, not a common black man, but a black man still in regards. This is the levels of a black man that he can reach. Know that there is no limit to what you can do as any black man. Black man, when I say black man, I mean black woman, full-heartedly. Black woman is included in that. Because the black woman has had to take the roles, so many roles of a black man. And that is not, everybody has their role and everybody has their place. I'm not to speak on where your place is, but I know that if you I'm looking at a pine tree right now. So fruiting trees, there is a female and there is a male bud in all plants, and one's role is to project, and one role is to receive. On that biological realm of that, there's a lot more to life, and I understand that there's depths to everything, and sometimes you have to play both roles. But when nature comes down to it, nature's one of them has to present itself outwardly. One of them has to be willing to receive inwardly that creativity. And when I say that the role of a black man is to present himself outwardly in such a way that it is favorable to be received internally, that's the only role that I'm speaking on. Fine, you gotta get it how you can get it nowadays. So let's see if we can find this.
I think you once told me that you said you were a radical black man.
Yeah. I think that radical in the sense of like you gotta go to these extremes too.
I love the word radical.
Yeah.
Do you know the meaning of radical is root?
Bust it down. No, I did not know that.
Yeah, that is, like nowadays we use the word radical as like, you're so extreme. You're so, in politics, they're like the radical lefts, the radical rights. And my dad had even like said to me once, you're too radical. And I actually loved hearing that because I know what radical means, and radical means like root at the root. Like,
dang.
Yeah, I'm so rooted. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, yo, go ahead. Hey, you made me, cuz. Look, you should be proud of that. That's dope. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I would take it.
Like a radish is a root crop that grows into the root. So I think that is that rad, R-A-D.
That's dope.
Deeply rooted.
Yeah. I think that I've learned that my given name means history. And I think that that depth goes into, you got to go into the depths of time. And I think that the history of a black man is barely, like, I think that I embody the radicalness of that, the rootedness of that thing, because.
Yeah, you're alchemizing the drug dealer back into the medicine man.
That is dope. All right, let me see if I can find this. Oh my God, I write a lot. Oh, living intentionally. Okay, maybe a key to life soon. Maybe not. You might get it sometimes. But living intentionally. Investing energy with the awareness that its return is inevitable. Brick by brick, building a life worth living. Deconstructing external concepts of what reality is. Deconstruction is work. The reconstruction is worth. We are not our dollar sign, rather, we are what we be. Keep believing and stay consistent in your practice. Blessings are coming for you. You are a limitless being, drawing from an unlimited source in unlimited ways. Be that. I'm gonna read it again. I think poems. Hey, yo, you're a poet. I didn't realize. Thank you. I didn't realize I was a poet. I didn't decide that I was a poet until last moon. I was like, you know what? I'm a poet. I've been journaling my whole entire life, and I've written many poems, but I just did not make the conscious decision that I'm a poet until.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think I enjoy reading your entries on your website.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoy sitting there. Keep doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it, to like just finally be like, yeah, I am a poet. You know, because I feel like I used to get stuck up in my head. I'm like, what is poetry? Like, I don't want to say I'm a poet. And then, you know, someone who studied poetry in school or something is going to be like, that's not poetry. And then I'm like, I am a poet.
Literally, I'm the best poet there ever was. Damn that. Other people don't be making sense when they write. I make sense. I think I learned that poems are anything that you have to read twice. So if you felt it and you're like, oh, damn, let me go back and read that. That's poetry.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and read this back to y'all because they're poetry right here. Living intentionally. Investing energy with the awareness that its return is inevitable. Brick by brick, building a life worth living. Deconstructing external concepts of what reality is. This deconstruction is work. The reconstruction is worth. We are not our dollar signs. Rather, we are what we keep believing. Rather, we are what we be. Keep believing and stay consistent in your practice. Blessings are coming for you. You are a limitless being, drawing from an unlimited source in unlimited ways. Be that. Be that. And that's DAT. Be that.
Get the snaps in the microphone.
Sometimes you gotta snap for yourself, yo. One of my big things, you gotta snap for yourself too.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that that's such your style, is like speaking words, speaking blessings onto people, over people. It's like affirmation poetry.
I find that is like, I feel like that's my grandpa coming out of me. That's his preaching style. I never got to sit in on his sermon, but in a way of dissecting, getting away from the religious aspect of preaching, your words are medicine in their own. That's why Black man created hip hop, and that's why hip hop has taken over an entire world, because your words are medicine, and those words provide to people what they need to hear in order to. Well, you can do whatever you want with your words. You can deconstruct, or you can consciously elevate. And I have enjoyed being able to express that conscious elevation aspect of it.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation with one of my good friends the other day about words being spells and how you can really build your life with the words you speak, or destroy your life with the words you speak, or just, you know, keep on staying in that loop of misery using the words you speak. And, you know, a lot of people who are like comedians or funny people, like they tend to speak really negatively about themselves. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. And I'm not saying like all comedians, but there's people that are just, I don't know, people I've met in my life who are really funny, but some of the stuff they say is so fucked up, and it's just like, when you love that person, it's like, oh my God, please don't say that. Yeah, it's funny, but it's freaking dark and twisted. And I don't know. I do think, like, obviously there's a line between expressing ourselves fully and also keeping that knowing that your words are spells. Like, I don't think it's that, like, you everything you say casts a spell and you're doomed by it. But I think it's something to definitely be intentional about. And I do think that that is a way to connect with your spirituality and kind of,
Mhm.
if you want to raise your frequency, I guess you could say, the way that you speak, the words that you speak and the words that you write and the words that you read and hear
Yeah,
and listen
heard,
to, like,
consumed through
that
you.
has a huge impact on your frequency.
I'm going to ask you a question, but I wanted to voice this real quick. Frequency. Frequency is synonymous with feeling. So if you want to say raise your frequency, raise your feeling, raise your
Mm.
where you are. If you want to rate, decrease your feelings. So frequencies as we go through our chakras and we speak on things. So it's like I never had, and you can I'll speak on this because it's beautiful. Decreasing your frequency. A lot of people spend a lot of time up here. Maybe not consciously, but I recently consumed a low frequency of 111 hertz. I had never done that before. I was always trying to get up in the nines and up in there in the sevens
Mm.
and around there, the 456. I think 456 is like right around where your heart resonates. Um, but listening to that 111 took it down to I correlate that with being, my roots, what I am being when I say be that. Like, and it was very much my meditation, that practice while listening to that feeling was very much centered around accepting what I am and also consciously aligning to like what am I going to be while I'm being being at a lower feeling. So it's not always about raising your frequency. It's about finding the frequency, the feeling that you're looking for, and play around with it. Listen to different frequencies. You may, just because you've heard one that works with you at that time, the seasons change just as everything else changes. So you too will change and you may align more with a different frequency, just to say that. But I wanted to ask you, you as a poet, what ways do you utilize your spells? Your and maybe it's an impact of your own life, kind of thinking solution based of a person who's listening to this podcast may want to start, may just receive your projection of spells, being words being spells. What are some advice that you can maybe give to, or examples that you've given of using your spells?
That's an interesting question. I would say the first step is probably bringing awareness to what you are thinking, what you're speaking, what you're listening to, and just noticing. And then I guess the next step would be noticing the way that that impacts you. And even if it impacts you at all, are you just completely numbed out to it? And just like noticing that. And then I think the next step would be getting curious about if you're willing to and how you might want to shift the things that you're speaking and listening to and reading and consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you play around with that, it's the same, noticing how that might feel different or if you still feel numbed out. And then it's just like maybe oscillating back and forth between the two and noticing how you feel differently, if you feel differently, or if you're just numbed out to everything. I'm saying that so much because I think a lot of us are really numbed out. And then, yeah, and I think that naturally, if you were to do that over time, you're going to gravitate towards speaking more truthfully. I think I would say that honesty has a big thing to do with it too. And if you're someone that lies a lot to other people, you probably lie to yourself a million times more. And of course, lying in general, I don't think is great, but I think that it's most important that we're at least honest with ourselves. Like, how are you going to lie to yourself? What's the point of lying to yourself? And we all do it, whether it's in big ways or small ways. But I think when you practice with your words, and maybe you're just doing this like on your own. It doesn't even have to be you speaking it to other people. Maybe or you're in your mind doing it, or you're journaling. And the more you do that, you start to see like what's true.
I feel that like my big thing is when you ask, you receive, and part of that being honest about like what it is that you're receiving is a separation of judgment. Because just because you've let something impact you and it's impacted you, you know that may be a negative impact, maybe a positive impact. Don't judge yourself on it. You still have time to correct it. Judge that. Judge the fact that if you chose to correct it or not, and or if you chose to explore it. I'm not going to say correct it. If you chose to explore a different route or not, I think that honesty is a big time. Like what I just heard from you is exploring the ways in which your words, the impact that your words have, or any words that are spoken, received, written, um, letting that in, being honest about that, being just aware of the exploration of words.
Yeah. And I think in order to be aware, you do have to be honest because, you can pretend like you're aware of something or you can make up this story. I guess, yeah. And I kind of bring up the numbed out thing feels like important to unravel a little bit because I think when you are so numbed out, I almost see it as like this thick like layer of just like I don't know, almost like a shield of armor, like a thick piece of metal that just is like blocking you from any sense of sensation or feeling or awareness. And I think that's you have to really like soften into that and give yourself a lot of grace and compassion and patience to even get to the level where you can start to become aware. But I think even just holding that intention of like, I want to be more aware just by having that thought or saying that out loud, like that's going to start to soften that thick metal, that thick skinness that's been protecting you. Yeah. So it's not judging, but you have to be honest. Like you just have to notice where you're at. And I think that actually the going back and forth between them that's a lifelong journey. And that's kind of what life is I don't know of anyone who's just like perfect and, always speaking and thinking positively. And I don't know what the number is, but we have like tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000 negative thoughts a day.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think like the average person does. And I think becoming an advanced meditator, you can kind of bring that number down. But that's where most of us are sitting at. And yeah, so I think it's really in the noticing and it's not about judging. It's just like, okay, I notice that I'm here. And then being honest with yourself. Do I want to stay here? Because sometimes it's like, yeah, I do. I feel like shit. And I just want to keep feeling like shit and treating everyone around me like shit. But then sometimes you might be like, actually, no, I don't want to feel like shit. I'm going to see if I can shift this. And then it's like, okay, are you being honest about, you notice, and then you notice that you want to shift, and then you have to see, am I actually willing to, though? And being honest about that, because I feel like then that's where you fall into the trap of being a victim, is like, oh, I want to be more positive, I want to be healthier, I want to be more aware, but I just can't. And it's like, it's not that you can't, it's just that you're not willing to. And that's okay. Just wait until you're willing to, or see what, just ask yourself, what can I do to get willing? Pray for willingness. That's something that I pray for often, is like, give me the willingness to like want to chase my dreams, and give me the willingness to be disciplined, or wake up and be energized enough to get out of bed. And yeah, you can pray for it.
You can, that's the use of words, the use of thoughts. Thoughts are, I argue sometimes that thoughts are even more powerful than actual words. Whenever thinking of that number of negative thoughts that we have, if you can just influence, or if you can just negate that with 30 more positive thoughts a day, that impact is going to be exponential. And it's like, I believe that you'll start to feel that the repercussions of your thoughts. And you'll be like, especially if you're in that realm of where you want to shift out of that, your current feelings, just asking for it, and then having the awareness that you're going to receive that, because all that which we desires us. Then whenever you experience it, you'll be like, yo, not only did I do that, but I did that just by something as little as my words and as little as my thoughts. It's crazy for me to say as little as, but because your thoughts and your words are like massive magnitude. And magnitude is what they base freaking earthquakes on. So you could shake the earth with your words, yo.
Yeah.
That is a thing. That's one of my favorite things about practicing what I preach, is that everybody can do this. And it's not something that I just have through my unique connection with God. It is something that everybody can practice. And potentially, if you keep practicing your practices, you can get to a level, you can surpass me. I hope you do surpass me. And you'll see the impacts of it. Of just, adding 30 more good thoughts. Repetition too. They can be 30 of the same thoughts. And just give me the willingness to see the opportunities around. One of my big ones is we allow. So when I say we allow, I know it sounds like I'm talking about multiple versions of myself. There might be multiple versions of myself. There probably is. But when I say we, I'm speaking specifically to my cellular level. Like there's an insane amount of cells in your body, and they all are working together to make sure that this unit performs at a optimal level. So when I say we, that vibration, that frequency is being projected to my cells, and my cells are like, all right, we're going to take this juice, we're going to drink this juice, and we're going to juice up, we're going to project this, we're all going to work together as a unit and make a smoothie. So we allow ourselves to see value, and simple as that, just like 3 times a day, we allow ourselves to see value. And just the way that I see pallets differently now. Like pallets are wood. They're wood that's already constructed in, if you play damn Minecraft, in block form. So it's like I've built platforms out of pallets. I've built a whole house out of pallets, a shed out of pallets, and pallets are limitless. You cut a pallet in half. If it's not the size that you want, my shoe rack is currently made out of pallets. It's just like something that is sitting on the side of the road for free. I see it as valuable. And that's just my examples. If you ask the universe to allow you to see value, then that value may express itself in I don't know. You may see them. Look, cats is valuable. You might just see, damn, I see a cat right now. We got some cool cats. I built, it just snowed here in Richmond, so I built a little snow sheds for some kitties. We got
Oh,
like,
I saw that on your story.
it was made
Did
out of
you build that out
pallets.
of pallets?
It was made out of pallets that I collected that
Nice.
day. It cost me $0.
That goes back to your original intention of being solution oriented. And I think if more people viewed the world that way, what was the affirmation?
We allow ourselves to see value.
We allow ourselves to see value. Like, do you know how many I just don't think there would be that many problems in the world if everyone
No,
woke up. If that was the Pledge of Allegiance in school instead of
yo,
whatever the fuck it is.
whatever. Yo, what the hell did they have us saying? I think I was probably honestly like in probably like fifth grade when I started mumbling that thing, and I was like,
Dude, is
hold up,
that not so weird to like go back
bruh.
and think on? Like that's some like cult shit.
Bruh, I heard that if you lived on an army base, like they would play and I'm proud to be an American, like right after
It's
that
straight
joint.
brainwashing.
Yo, I
And you would have did you ever have a teacher who would get like so pissed if you like didn't stand up and lay it loud and like put your hand on your heart? It's like is this like we're pledging allegiance to America, which is a free country, which means I don't have to stand up and say this.
mhm. That would just look. I don't know what demonic person came up with that, but
So weird.
they definitely rocking with the cult. But I will say this: as a black man in America, I believe that I have the most liberties of any black man in the world. I'll say that. From my perspective, I think that my ability to literally take my family from could have been sleeping in a car to I can I have the liberty of changing my mindset in America and becoming a Fortune 500 ass person if I needed to be. If I desired that. That's one liberty that they're not getting in Colombia as a black. They're not getting that in Asia. I don't know. I haven't been to these places. They might be, but you know, shit. I'm liberated, and we go through our struggles, but as one advances, we all advance.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of talking with someone about I mean, we weren't talking about this and then that kind of got weaved into the conversation of um we were talking about like consumerism and just we were talking about happiness and how everyone's just seeking happiness and then I was saying how I've been thinking about this a lot lately and I think that's actually the problem. Like, I don't think that we used to be seeking happiness, or I don't think there's any other animal in the world that's
Yeah,
seeking out happiness. It's like they're all just trying to survive. They're just trying to make sure their basic needs are met. And we get so miserable and depressed and discontent with our lives because we're not happy. And it's like, first of all, happiness is an emotion, it's fleeting, it's something you experience just like any other emotion. It's not like something to, it's not a tangible thing. But also, it's just like shows the level of comfort that we've evolved to as humans and how that's kind of really come to like turn back on us
yeah.
and become a detriment to
I
us,
heard
our
that our
survival
dang,
and our evolution.
I heard our dang frontal lobes are minimizing now. They're getting smaller.
I believe it, yeah.
Yeah, that because
And then yeah, the guy I was talking to is like, yeah, well, like you know, because we're having these conversations and it's like, obviously, I'm still someone who is a human in these modern times. And yeah, I have my computer, I have my phone, I have my cup of coffee with sugar and milk in it. Like, I got my filtered water, my tea. Like, we're on the internet. Like, I'm
yeah,
still even though I'm thinking about these things and shifting little parts of my life, I'm still very much indulging in these comforts. And he had just said, it's better, even though capitalism and consumerism is horrible and we're all like working just to get all these things, he's like, it's better than socialism or communism. Like, it's better than just waking up and having to go work at the factory and like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, it is true. We are so privileged to be living in America. And also, I think we still need to question and push back because, yeah, we do have our freedoms and our liberties, but also there are some pretty weird ways that we don't. And I think when we don't, that is the privilege that we have, is to question and to think freely.
It's our role.
And so, and critically. And so, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, if
That's
you're
in
an abusive relationship, but the person abusing you is only verbally abusing you, and then you see your friend who's like, her husband beats the shit out of her, and then it's like, oh, well, at least he doesn't beat the shit out of me. It's like, yeah, that's great that he doesn't beat the shit out of you, but he also is like mentally destroying you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's better, but it's still, and that might be a little bit of an exaggeration of a metaphor. But...
Nah, but I mean, no, because I wanted to make a point of this conversation also to let people know that your soul is being attacked in this current day and time. Like, that is the one thing that is being attacked. We have to kind of radical. When I go to this radical, I go to revolutionary ass mode. But you're being, because that comfort level makes you feel like, everything's good. What am I really to complain about? That woman who's getting beat, look, I have a house over my head and this and that. But you're being still attacked, and there is better ways to do this. If we only accept what is currently here, will never evolve. And so me and you and every being that in this entire realm that is having these conversations, having these thoughts, we're driving forth the ability of somebody like who will get this done. This podcast could be seen by the senator of Michigan, and they'll sit there and be like, you know what, I need to do something about this water today. Like, I'm going to think about this and I'm going to make this happen. And like, we're limitless beings. And so the impact of our words and the desire for better, that's how we got here, yo. They said that we came out of the ocean, and that was one's a fish's desire to stop getting eaten by a bigger fish. It was like, all right, I'm gonna go venture out into this unknown territory, never been before seen. Like, can I breathe up there? I don't even know, but I'm gonna figure out how to do it, and then not being satisfied. And as an entrepreneur, you just look, as soon as you get comfortable, you gotta sit there. You gotta be like, all right, how can I not be satisfied with this level of celebration, and how do I continue to progress? And there's a time for celebration. I want to hear more about these dang. I was listening to your podcast while I was driving for the 3 stages. We got the victim, the hero, and the villain.
The victim, hero, villain.
Yeah, I need to hear about that. But to continue, they just weren't satisfied with being a victim anymore. And once you're not going to do that, your victim story maybe understand it, may be the villain to your husband or whoever is doing the abuse. You will be the villain to whoever is doing the oppression and whoever is keeping things this way. But you're going to be the hero to somebody who is experiencing something similar, and any who can resonate with your realm. And we do all 3 of these things at the same damn time.
Yeah.
At the same.
Yeah, this school that I learned that in the Radical Birth Keeper school. and we would do this exercise where you print out hero, victim, villain, and then you put them on the floor in like a triangle, and then someone would volunteer in class and you stand in the middle of your triangle, and then you start telling like a story of drama that's going on in your life, and then while you're telling it, everyone in the class is holding up hero, victim, villain, and you have to move around on the triangle,
Oh
and it
no,
just
you're not
shows
gonna
you
read like that.
how off. Yeah, I know it's you got to be bold to volunteer
Look,
and like spill the
oh,
tea on your life, and then have everyone being like, victim, villain.
I'm gonna show you a victim. Come here. That's
But it just shows you how, even in just the smallest scenarios in our life, we're just constantly moving around that triangle, playing those different roles. I think I haven't really followed along with that work. It's by the Conscious Leadership Group, which they have a book called Conscious Leadership. You might like it. I gave mine to Dean. I don't think he's read it. I need to get it back from him. But they have some interesting concepts, and then I don't know if it's them or if it's someone else who expanded on that work, and I think they talk about, stepping off the triangle completely,
Gotta evolve.
which is interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's thing. Look, because there really is levels to this, and it's like as soon as you feel like you're the big fish in the pond, go introduce yourself to a new pond. And that's what that fish did, and that's what we have to do. It's like once we feel like, because there's going to be a time. I speak to your brother like this all the time. There's going to be a time where we are going to sit there. We're going to be exactly where we desire to be right now. We're going to be there, and we have to sit there and look at each other eye to eye and be like, let's keep going. Let's keep changing the world. Let's keep making an impact.
I don't think there's ever going to be a time when you two are sitting there being like, just sitting in your recliner chair like, oh, we made it, nothing else to do. I don't see that for you.
You don't see that. Look, it might not be.
I think it's sweet of you to think that you're going to be there. But it is like that. After I had that conversation about happiness, I'm like writing. I guess I'm writing something about this right now. I started it the other day, and then this came up recently with someone else I was talking to, and now it's coming up again with you. But it is like, it's so interesting. So many of us have that, like, I don't know if it's a wound, but it's like that core feeling of I'm not enough. I don't know if everyone experiences that, but I know a lot of people do. And that's my big one, is like, I'm not enough. Nothing I ever do is going to be good enough. And I just had an insight. I said I was talking to someone else about it. I'm pretty sure I was talking to myself about it. Because I had an insight the other day that was like, who am I not enough for? Because I go between, is it from my parents and my childhood of just being born into a family of excellence, with whether it's like sports or school. Like, I remember in fourth grade or something, whatever grade, when you're doing spelling tests, and I got like a 9 out of 10 or something. And my mom was like, oh no, in this family, we only get 100% on spelling tests.
Oh, no.
And so, like, I'm not going to spell a word wrong. I mean, I've laxed up on it now a little bit. But anyway, it's like, so sometimes
Symposium,
like,
spell it right now.
Symposium, SYMPOSIUM, symposium. That's an easy one.
That's crazy, because I'm sitting here typing in as you spell it, making sure. Like, I don't know how to spell it.
I went to the spelling bee in 7th grade, and the word was pandemic, and I had never heard that word before. And I spelled it wrong, and then I started hearing it everywhere after that. But my dad roasted me so hard for spelling it wrong. He was like, that's the word you're going to lose on? Like, but dang, anyways, my parents are like great people. They just did, like, they were like, we're a family of excellence. Like, and so,
and you're achieving that.
Thank you. So I was like reflecting, like, is this where it stems from? Then I had this moment where I think it's me. I'm like, I think it's me that I'm never going to be good enough for. Like, it's actually not these people who I'm like looking at Shane when we're sitting down for dinner. Do you like it? Is it good? And then being like, oh, I could have done this better. It's not Shane that's being like, oh, she didn't cook the dinner good enough, or sorry, women, for that for that
No,
example.
because I think that's actually that resonates because Kayla does the same thing, and I'd be like, God, this is the greatest food I've ever eaten in my life. Do this
Well,
again.
just
So
say as soon as it hits your lip, you got to say that.
look, y'all
Or
want us
else
to.
we're like, oh, it's not good.
That's insane. Because y'all do be like, oh, I could have done this better. It's like I don't see how you could have even thought that
But
this
the
would make it
next
be
time I
better.
make it, it's gonna be better.
Well, maybe I should be like, nah, this ain't shit. So you
Let's
get
see
it.
what she could really do.
Uh-huh. Nah, that's
But
crazy.
I'm thinking about that not enoughness, and I think in a way it is a wound, but also it's just that's like biological. That's what's gotten us to where we are now, and that's what allowed us to survive, is being insatiable and like
Mm,
it never being enough and always having to go back out and hunt again, or
oh,
forage again, or gather again, or get more wood for the fire, build a bigger fire to stay warmer, build a better shelter.
damn.
Like, it's so weird how something that can, we try to fix. Yeah, I am worthy. We try to accept ourselves and say I am enough. And also, I think that there's some kind of real beauty and genius in that core feeling of I'm not enough. It's like true and not true at the same time, but I really think that is what makes us human and what makes humans so unique in the animal kingdom and just like consciousness kingdom.
I think that, yeah, I think that uh, hit that one on the head, yo. That is insane to think about not being enough, but knowing that you are enough, like having to instill the knowing that you're enough into you, but also being like, maybe I'm just not enough. Like, maybe I just never will be enough because I ain't never even thought about not being enough. Like, I think that one day I will. I think that me and Dane will sit back and it may not be in a recliner. I think that it'll be in our newfound love for fishing. Not, I've always been a fisher, but like fishing, I think we'll be chilling. We'll be like, damn, cuz we did this. But no, I heard it as I understand that as the God in you is not quite the God. You're not God. Like you're just not enough to actually. You're the embodiment of God, but you're not God.
But
And
do
you
you
need.
think that's what we're seeking, is to get closer to God?
I think that's fully what we're seeking in my ancestral's idea of
Mm.
thinking. I think that is like what we're seeking, and knowing the times that we didn't quite live up to our godliness, whenever we then later received a download that, oh, this is how God would have handled the situation. This is how God is handling the situation. Um, I think that might be what we're seeking. God being a provider of everything and anything. You wanting to provide, and all right, when I say God being the provider of anything and everything, also the best of the best, you want to provide the best of everything and anything. But you can't do everything. You can do, you can't do, what was the saying earlier?
Yeah, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
You can do anything, but you can't do everything. God can do anything and everything. And
But I also can't help but wonder and really feel like I bet God feels like they're not enough either.
no, yo,
Which is like, I'm like,
I,
I don't know if I should say that, but
God probably felt and heard right there when you said that.
I see you, God.
Hey, what up, peace, God? Look, no, because I was just me saying that, you saying that. made me think that, like, you know what? I bet God wanted to be there, protect you, like in your hardest times that you could think of. God wanted to be there, but God probably felt
Mm,
like I wasn't there, and I let you down, and so here I'm gonna give you this because you kind of know how, like, you see a child being spoiled, and you're like, you can, maybe your niece. I see my niece and my nephew getting spoiled, and I'm like, oh, don't, this gonna create a problem down the road potentially. Um, and but you like, even you want to give them everything, but some things you don't give them or you can't provide, and then that thing is whenever they needed to learn that, you know what, I didn't need that. You got that's right there
yeah.
written. That was your blessing that you didn't need. Um, and so, like, yeah, I bet God does feel that way. Like, dang, but I wasn't there to save X, Y, and Z. And
Well,
go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Uh, I try not to give the devil too much credit, but the devil does be working, and that is a powerful entity. That is the yin to the yang. So, you know, if you want to call it the devil, if you want to call it however you call it, entropy is what I would call it. You got evolution and you got entropy. Um, and entropy must happen. That death cycle must happen in order for life to be so joyful and so abundant. And that, I know that was experienced with you in your story last year of times you
Hmm.
just, you just gotta, that entropy will cause new evolution.
Yeah, I have two thoughts there, and I hope I can hold on to both of them. My first thought was like something you said right at the beginning when you started speaking was really hitting for me. It's just like God is the ultimate space holder. Oh, you had said there were times when, God saw you struggling and you probably wanted to step in
Mm-hmm.
and then felt bad for not doing so. That's not what you said, but
Yeah, I
that's my brain's mash of it.
word for
And
word heard it.
it just reminded me of, someone who is a space holder and then also someone who has a tendency towards people pleasing and wanting people to feel good and making sure
Mm-hmm.
everybody is comfortable and whatever. In space, when you're holding space, I'm thinking of the birth that I attended recently
Mm-hmm.
and how my real role in that specific birth was to hold the space and how uncomfortable it was and how I so badly like wanted to find something to do
Mm-hmm.
to help or save or hero her, the woman who was going through her birthing process and was,
Yeah,
birth is painful and exhausting and it really decimates you, but you have to that's the point of it.
gotta go through that to
And
create.
so, yeah, I just had that thought of like God, that is what God is actually, the ultimate space holder. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you do have to, or you use the example of your nieces and nephews, and it's like, yeah, sometimes you have these moments where a loved one or maybe a client, someone you're working with, is coming to you with something. And I've experienced this in the grief counseling I do too. It's like you're sitting with someone who's in such pain. And when it's something like birth or death or grief, there's nothing I could do that's going to ease their pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I could say something encouraging or give a friendly touch or something, but ultimately, like, they have to go through that process. And what I can do to support is just to hold the space and just sit in the discomfort and the fire
Yeah,
of that discomfort and just like hold it.
receive
And I
that.
think
Yeah,
that is actually a real art, which is hard. I feel like it's hard to talk about, but yeah, God is the ultimate space holder.
I feel
I
that.
might have lost that second thought.
I use my words in cool ways. This is my best way of using the words. We allow ourselves, say this. We allow ourselves
We allow ourselves
the gift
the gift
of perfect memory.
of perfect memory.
We recall with precision
We recall with precision
and in divine timing
and in divine timing
all things.
all things.
It'll come back whenever it's ready. It comes back. May not be here, but literally, I was a person who lost things all the time, and Dane will tell you that. Um, I ain't gonna say that I done not never lost anything since, but like the other day I was looking for my GoPro. I was about to go shoot a video, and I went through my whole pat and everything, retracing my steps, and then I took a second. I was like, said that, and as like within like 2 searches, found it. I was like, oh, I remember putting it there now. And your words, they're. This book talks to me about how we, our brain is insane. Like we think computers can do anything. Your brain can do anything, and if you needed to remember it, you will remember it. And if in precision and exactly whenever you go to speak the word, like it'll pop up. But that's one that you gotta definitely instill. It's like one that's definitely practiced upon.
That's a good one, and you should share that with Shane, because Shane was just talking to me the other night about his memory.
We're getting old.
His memory.
That's one that I've been amazed by how well that one works. So like, I like to share that one whenever people come.
Yeah, I would have to go back and remember what we were talking about before I started talking. I think it's like partially being that vessel, and you got to kind of empty yourself out to let whatever wants to come through. So then it's like, that's what happens.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
But I also feel like if it wanted to come through, it would.
You'll remember it. Then you'll text me about it or something. You'll be like, damn, I remember.
Yeah.
Or just be the next conversation. But
I'll text you in 40 years.
Hey, you remember when? Like, yeah, I got perfect memory. Do you not remember when?
Okay. So, do you want to share with us any practices, rituals, or touch points that you kind of have in your arsenal to remind you that life is sacred, and also help you in weave that remembering into your everyday life?
For sure, there is one that I practice when I think of this. Rituals were simple. They were intentional and they were simple. And I don't think it takes a lot to make something a ritual. Or for it doesn't take a lot for me to remember that everyday life is sacred. One thing that I started practicing last year was 3 M's. I think somebody will resonate with this. First M, meditation. I like to sit down for a meditation every day. And that meditation could be one of the best ways I've found meditation is through activity. If you get walking and you get outside in nature, take a walk, you will start to feel the thoughts slip away and come more of gratitude. So one of them, meditation. The other one, music. I like to practice music, play with music in a different way. Listening to it, DJing. Eventually, I will start creating music from scratch as much as I can. Kind of get your brother to show me some song. And Shane, because I heard that boy and Shane was a thing. And then movement. 3 M's: movement, meditation, music. If I do those 3 things every day, that is a great day in my life. And that is the best way that I can keep it simple. This movement can be, lately I've been practicing handstands. Just 3 minutes of feeling a way practicing my handstand, whether it's up against the wall or it's drills that I've seen on Instagram. But life, my day was, and the accomplishment of feeling like, oh, I did something today. On those days when it's like really hard for me to get off the couch, really hard for me to get any of those three, anything flowing. It's like my practice of 3Ms. All it takes is three things: music, meditation, movement. And if I do those three things, I have honored myself. I've honored the God in me. And honestly, I have pushed on, now acquired a new cycle that will create a bigger picture. You know, I feel like this movement is my profession. Music is my, what I'm aiming towards doing, and meditation is how I'm kind of doing it. And I feel like they all kind of weave into one another. And once I do one, then it's like, oh, I only got to do two more things a day, you know. I'm encouraged to go do the second one, and then once I do the second one, even if it's like 9:30 at night, I'll be like, yo, all right, what haven't I done today? Boom, let's get 3 minutes of handstands in. And that's one practice that I have thoroughly. I have not been practicing the music because of the DJ thing I was thinking about earlier. I have grown bored of the piano, but I've also learned that the piano is something that I'm not going to sit here and learn the traditional way of sitting. You ain't going to smack my hands whenever I mess up. You're not going to do that. And whenever I do mess up, I'd be like, all right, I'm chilling out. I get fed up. And so I put down the piano for a little bit. And so lately I've been like, how do I explore music on my third M? So there's been a couple of days where like I long to get music in. So my desire to do what I have to do in order to get this DJ set is now amplified, so I can get this third M back in. Um, so 3Ms is my practice. I think that keep it simple is all I'm mostly trying to preach there. Is it doesn't have to be a lot to do it. Just find something that is intentional in your practice, your daily ritual, and something achievable, and go do it. Don't be afraid to do it. Are there any practices that you got going on, rituals?
Yeah, but before I answer your question, I just want to say I think that is so helpful to tell people that, like, because if you would have just said music, movement, meditation, at least for me, I'm like, oh, you're a personal trainer, so I'm like, okay, movement for him means getting in the gym and working out for an hour every day. And then just the way my mind works, I'm like, yeah, Tyreek probably meditates like 3 hours a day. And then like the music is, I guess the two I kind of go to is those two, but I think it's really important. And I'm grateful that you shared that meditation can be walking. When you said that, I was like, I shared my goal of wanting to get more into meditation this year. And when you said that, I just had this thought that was like, maybe I meditate more than I think I do. Because one thing that is like a big stress reliever for me is like if I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed, going on a walk and just walking until I don't feel like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be when you slip into that like walking meditation.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially if sometimes I'll walk with a podcast or call a friend or have my dogs or be with somebody, but sometimes I like to just go on a quiet walk without headphones and just be in the world walking. But yeah, just you sharing, like you being a personal trainer, movement is your job. And for you to say, yeah, now I'm working on handstands, so I might just try to spend 3 minutes a day working on my handstand. It's like, that's so big. It doesn't have to be an hour a day, 2 hours a day. Like that's unrealistic for a lot of people. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Oh, praise. People are really adverse to movement, and I am like,
I am.
Movement is, look, if you take a walk, you just knocked out two of your M's right there, movement and potentially meditation.
Yeah.
But I understand that because the body just doesn't. I get in those states where it's like the body wants to move, and the mind says no, or the mind wants to move, and the body says no. And it's like movement does not have to be complex and just the action of moving. There's I say in my practice and with all my clients, there's no bad movement.
Hmm.
Sometimes I gotta sit there, be like, all right, but don't do this, don't do this. But there is, as long as you're moving, yo, I feel like that is a start, and I can meet you there, um, and I'll get you. We'll find some other ways that you enjoy moving, and cleaning is moving. If you are
Mm.
really you getting up and you're cleaning, you're mopping. It takes a whole lot of muscles to do that, and movement is specific to how you desire your movement, or what your goal is with moving. So if your goal, like me, is my goal is longevity of life, and so that requires, I feel, a little bit more of an investment. If your goal is to just be able to do the things that you enjoy doing on a day to, or yeah, doing the things that you enjoy doing on day to day without being hurt, no pain, that doesn't require too much more. It requires standing up a couple more times because our bodies physically are not done evolving, so we aren't used to this whole sitting thing yet. The potency that we are prescribed in this current day of life. Um, but movement is not ridiculous, yo. Ride a bike. I don't know when the last time you know one of y'all you were a child who rode a bike. That's a good way to get your inner child flowing right there.
I fucking ride a bike almost every day because I gotta go chase my damn dog that got out of the yard and ran down the street. So I gotta hop on the bike and go get her.
Look, I
Which
used
sometimes, like, honestly, depending on where I'm at in my cycle, like, if I'm at the beginning of my cycle and I'm just feeling more light and playful, I'm like, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to go ride a bike and get outside for a second. And I'll be like, I'll go get her and then I'll like ride up and down the street with her. And then when I'm in, I'm in like, I'm about to bleed any day now. So then I get pretty, the dogs annoy the shit out of me and I just don't want to be bothered. And so then I'm on the bike like freaking pissed. It's cold outside. I'm like, get this
hell
damn
wrong with
dog, get back to the house.
you. Look,
But
and
yeah, we used to ride bikes to school, to elementary school.
that's
Me,
fire.
us and the Downies, Max and his brother and sister, and me and
Yeah,
Dane and Aspen. We
that
get the
is
neighborhood squad up and ride our bikes to school.
an insane dream of mine. Yo, what? I just like riding the bike to school. What you do with it whenever it's there? It just
We
sat on the
just, there was
bike
a bike
rack.
rack because the school was in our
What?
neighborhood. So a bunch of the kids that went there rode their bikes to
That
school.
could have been me because we used to steal bikes. So I'd be too worried about somebody's bike getting somebody
Yeah,
jacking
I
my
don't
bike
think
off
you
at
would
school.
even have to lock the bike up there.
What
It's
a life.
good old Seminole, Florida, a great little suburban place.
Well, I guess we didn't like our bikes either. They'd just be in somebody's yard. Like, hey, yo, you see that? I need to get 1.2 miles away. What's the fastest way to get there? Not walking, cuz
Just borrow this bike.
we'd return it eventually. Eventually. But yeah, yeah. And that's why I am I do what I love, and I'm learning every day that, like, you know, when it comes to women and their cycles, they their goal may be, we may have the same goal, but going about achieving it has to be completely like distributed differently on a day to day, on a week to week, and it's like
Yeah.
I got to keep it interesting in a way. So
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. Well, when we were talking about the kettlebells and you were saying you were gonna whip something up for me, and I was thinking I was like it'd be cool to have a conversation with you about because I know you have female clients too, and I wonder if I'm sure some of your clients are kind of in sync with their cycle, but some of them aren't. And I feel like that would be a really cool, unique factor that you could weave in, especially as a male personal trainer, is like asking women, okay, what part of your cycle are you in? And kind of, curating their workouts around that.
That's
That could
fire.
be super powerful. And I don't know of any other man that's doing that.
Nah, yo, I'm gonna take that, run with that.
Yeah, we can talk sometime about that.
That's fire. I know right now I boast that, and Caleb told me I gotta correct this, but pain-free mobility is the goal. And she'd be like, "Don't tell nobody it's pain-free. You're out here lying to these folks. It may hurt a little bit to work, but the idea is that you move, and it does not hurt you to move afterwards in your day to day."
Yeah.
But I'm working on hips right now and how hips kind of are becoming misaligned by internal things like your organs or by external factors like how much you sit and how much you do this and how much you do that. But I have found that men's hips are simple. Almost every man, their left hamstring gets more sore than their right hamstring does. Their right quad gets more sore than their left quad does. And that's because their hips are kind of like this. And tilted up. So that's simple for me. It's just, that's all we got to do and get that right. But that goes to protect your right lung is bigger than your left lung. So.
In everybody?
I don't know. Women might be different. I think it's everybody.
That's interesting.
So in order to try and protect that lung, which is now down here, this hip tries to come up.
Do you know why the right lung is bigger?
I think it's just where we hold our extra, like that air that you don't exhale. I think it's the word is, I couldn't tell you the word. I went to school for it, but I couldn't tell you the actual word. But so in men, that comes to pushing down, forcing on your toe, your left big toe, and on your right side, your right pinky toe. My women clients, I have had like 4 or 5 of them come up, and that just that agitates their hips more than it does fixes them. And I think I'm dwindling down to that. Women put a lot more, well, first off, they're wider bearing of hips. So I believe that their glutes are more active and they have less quad activity than men do. And I think that it also goes into a lot of calf issues. I think that women's calves, the back of their calves, the back of their lower leg is very tense. And they use a lot of that force to negotiate the influences of not leaning back and also leaning to the side very much of one side and then leaning to the other. But I'm thinking that the calf is more overactive and not allowing the quads to be active. And then the hamstrings are really active because we're always trying to move forward. So we're pushing ourselves forward. And then the glutes, I'm figuring it out, woman. But my thought going into training this year was that, I got to figure it out. Left hip, left big toe, right pinky toe. And then I'm getting all this feedback from, I said, about 65% of my clientele is women.
Okay, wow.
And so that right there, thinking like that, how does this go with your cycle? And a couple of them we gotten to the point comfortable enough to express, hey, this week I'm on my cycle, like, let's take it a little bit easier. But I haven't. And I think I'm pretty adverse in movement to where we can do it. But I would like to get it to see where it's more like, all right, what type of movements do you like in this period? Are you feeling more like we should do more jazzercise, more like how can I get you moving that way? And then, right off a cycle, I feel like the energy's high. It's like, let's go lift some heavy shit on those days and finding how we can evolve, get to our goals through the cycle of lifting, like the cycle of your cycle with
Yeah.
partnership. So yeah, let's storm that for sure.
Yeah. That's so cool. I feel like even just what you're saying now, like that's so fascinating to me. And I have so many thoughts. So yeah, if you ever want to talk about women in their bodies, and I'm still, that was one thing I loved about my yoga training was the anatomy and physiology. And then just, yeah, the certain cues that my yoga teacher would give to like, that I would never think about. Like, just being in, chair pose, and then her telling me to, what did she say? Like push into my feet as if I'm like ripping the mat apart, and
Uh-huh.
just how that activates totally different muscles.
Feet.
I never realized that people who guiding movement is their career or their creative expression. I just never realized how in depth that could go. So that's so interesting to think, just you talking about how men put their left big toe and right pinky toe,
Uh-huh. Pushing down
and
that
then
way.
like the shape, the way their hips are tilted, and then the right lung is bigger. Like that's so, there's so many factors. And
So
then that's just on its own. And then you could even, eventually over time weave in energetics and
that's
emotional, like holistic. That's why I love holistic health, because it's just so layered. You can go so deep with it, and it's so individual.
it, it's so individual, but it's so encompassing of the whole.
Yeah.
And it's like, I I find it that like, as soon as I tell some man that, like, yo, just put something, they're like, oh shit, I'm not the problem. Like, or this problem is solvable. And
And
so
it's so simple. Like
it's
that's
so
so
simple.
cool.
Yeah, yo. And I'm like, yeah, cuz, go ahead. I did that. Give me a round of applause. But I can't. I'm not the
That'll be $10,000.
I just solved all your problems. But then I'm like, nah, I really just want you to do the work. As a trainer, I want you to be willing to do the work to be able to solve your problems. And like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to be with me forever. Any type of client. If we do live for, if we find ways to continue this partnership and it works for the both of us in the best ways, um, I'll do that. But my goal is to pass you on, let you go on about your life, and then you tell somebody else, oh, jump, this is how I kind of fix my hips. Let's see if it works. And to you, this is how I became pain free and mobile. And like, there's no, man, this world would be so simple without the dollar sign. I say that. But it's like, as soon as I tell somebody, yeah, I'm a personal trainer, they're like, oh, that's too expensive. I'm like,
Yeah.
we can find a way. We could find a way to.
I never thought about how intimate of a relationship that has to be between like a personal trainer and a client.
It's right now. It's becoming. I'm learning that I have to be even more personal for the value of work in which I want to deliver and the impact that I'm trying to make. Like, am. I was about to send you like a 4 week program, but I'm learning like right now that like it's gonna have to be like a week to week. Like this week we're gonna talk, we're gonna sit here, and then the next week we get on a call together and we like, okay, how'd that feel? Let me get some detail, especially with you being like, away, um,
Yeah.
it being virtual. It's gonna be like, yo, all right, how did this exercise feel? I want you to, since I'm not there, give me the cues about your body, and then we discuss it, and then I'll be like taking my depth of knowledge and being like, okay, let's tweak this, let's use this exercise, and this is going to help you. You should feel this, and then I'll let you know how this impacts you and how this like correlates to a movement that I want to get to. You know,
Yeah, that's what I love, and that really helps me with anything I'm doing. Is like understanding the why. I don't do very well with someone just being like, "Do this." I'm like, "Why?" And then I'm like, "What does it do if I do that?" But that's why movement is kind of cool too, and like having guided movement and someone cueing you a
yeah,
certain cue, and then you're like, you're experiencing that in real time. It's
And
very
that was
cool.
one of the coolest things when I was up in New York. We did a yoga class, and it was my first ever experience of the instructor not participating in the yoga. Just they were sitting and they were like controlling the room from sitting and being like, okay, now we're going to pull our belly buttons and we're going to pull it to our chin. And the way that that made you engage your core, it was like, what? How you didn't even do this right next to me? Like, how you know that? And
Yeah, that's like master level when you have it so down that you're just sitting there telling people, guiding them through the experience without doing it.
something else that I took a learning notes there. I was like, oh, Sean, I can't evolve even further. Being
Yeah, and then you
encouraged.
have to trust the people that the students that are like they have to trust themselves too that like they're doing it right because you don't have someone to look up at and be like, "Am I doing it right?" It's like just trust your body.
And in a similar uh, loop around to what we talked about earlier, those people who are at that level and of trusting in their own body, they will support you and they'll be in that class. And so you can give that cue and they'll be like, oh, John, I know exactly what, not that I've ever done it before, but I know exactly what to do because I'm at this level. I'm confident in my ability
Yeah.
to create. So
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely are going to have to do this again because
no doubt.
I feel like this conversation is like, an intro to who you are and what you're about. And then we can do another one. I mean, we could probably do this 1,000 times and just talk for the rest of time.
You are my one of my by
That is
far.
like a good, that's the whole point is to have good conversation.
That is, yeah, yo. I am. You sat there and you're like, "This is going to be an archive that you can just go and listen to and get developments of knowledge here." And I was like, "I that is valuable. That is very valuable. That
Yeah.
to have." And I never had looked at podcasts that way. And I guess maybe not every podcast is presented that way, but every podcast could be used as that tool. Like you're creating a large library of experience, like life. You're creating a life library told through
Yeah.
conversation.
Preserving stories,
And
which is really cool.
that's one of the unique things that we get to experience. And I felt that whenever one of my favorite artists is Michi Darko. He's part of Flatbush Zombies. Um, they're a rap group. You should listen to them if you haven't listened to them.
They used to be at like Bonnaroo and stuff.
Yeah, they used to do their
You
thing. So
you
they
seem
all
like you would be a Flatbush Zombie fan.
what? Because if I seen them one time in concert, and back in my Medicine Man days, I was able to connect with them in a cool way. Um,
Yeah,
and
they're
so
wild.
they are, but they have recently kind of diverged. Not that they broke up; they just all have gone down paths of their own. And Eric, the architect, uh, Fire, he's, I think his expression of his career is like taking it on a whole new level. But my boy Michi Darko is one that I've always related to. He's got a deep voice. Ultimately, he was like, these words are going to live forever. Like the fact that I'm grateful to be able, I'm grateful for wax because these words are going to live forever. Roughly is what he said. And like the acknowledgement of like, all right, yo, I put this out there with the internet, it really almost can't be destroyed. And music, putting like we can listen to music from 1908 if we like. I don't know how the hell we can, but we can. And like they are creating recolorizing pictures. So since the video camera, we have both video and sound technology. There is nothing that we can't do. It's like it's timeless too. So this library that you're creating is literally I don't see how they could, a physical library, the books, when they get burned, that's a devastating loss of knowledge. I see no way that this knowledge can get lost.
Yeah, especially when when you put it out on several different services and then you save it in your own. I probably need to get like a hard drive or something, external hard drive. I'll have to get Shane to look into that for me. That sounds too boring for me to figure out.
What do you mean hard drive? That for sure. Because I'm grateful to be a part of your creative expression in this.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you being willing to and being vulnerable enough to share your stories. And I was just thinking when you were just now talking, like, imagine your grandma like at a podcast or something, and you could now like go back and listen to your grandma and all the conversations she was having with like her interesting friends. Like, that would be so cool.
That would be amazing. Yo, I couldn't even imagine my grandma. I saw a picture of my grandma when she was like I think she had just got out of high school. Beautiful woman, and I was like, I could not imagine like the life that she lived. She lived through the dang civil rights era, and then to own a house, I bet she couldn't even. She was probably one of, because my mom, the year my mom was born, was the same year that they let integration happen, and so
Wow. What year was that?
64.
Okay.
Right? And I'm pretty sure that I ain't gonna say that. I gotta learn a little bit. But it might have been not too far from North Carolina if it wasn't in North Carolina. Um, but yeah, my mom was the first black cheerleader at a school, her school, and so she did some revolutionary things. But to think that my grandma was once lived in an era where you couldn't go inside the same restaurant as another person, but owned two houses.
That's crazy.
Passed. Right? It was like, I bet her grandmother probably was like, "Yo, don't even try this." And my grandma was definitely the person to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try that shit. Not only am I gonna try that shit, I'm gonna do it."
That's such a good, like, if someone is trying to convince you not to do something, you should do it.
You should do it. Yeah,
That's kind of bold to say, and obviously everyone use your own discretion, and especially when that person is coming from fear and it's something that they haven't done,
You gotta acknowledge
just do it and see what happens.
That fear is a powerful thing, and people will speak to you out of fear, and do not let fear project it onto you. Because I know that evidently used to be a rebel child. All the cool things that you've done out of somebody telling you not to do it, I've turned in some dope ass stories, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, you gotta learn them stories. Yo, I used to have a crazy to speak to you, Miss Yoni. I used to have a pussy complex. Anytime somebody called me a damn pussy, I had to do it because I was like, I'm not soft, and I'm not scared. I'm not no pussy. And so I would be the exact opposite of what I perceived of vagina to be. And I'd be like, I'm going to go do this. And now that I know more than what I know, it's like, I am pussy. Nah, I'm kidding. I ain't saying that.
The pussy is a portal. Like, that's such a compliment to be called that.
Pussy has a portal.
I'm going to start going by Miss Yoni.
Miss Yoni.
I'm going to change the whole podcast.
Look.
My whole brand.
Look, this right here says Sydney Studio. Sydney's Yonis. That's funny. But no, that's I love this. I love this for you, and I love this for me as well. I feel like.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Do you want to tell people where they can find you in person, or if someone wants to reach out and connect with you, like where they can reach you.
All right,
Plug yourself, hype yourself up.
First and foremost, if you want to talk to me, talk to God. God will move you right to me. Just be like, we allow ourselves to be in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, connecting with exactly the right beings, and projecting exactly the right energy to gain the exact support in what you desire. I'll be there. I'll receive that. That's my number one connection. Number two, you can follow me on, I'm plug in the YouTube. Well, I guess I got to plug in the Instagram, plug in the YouTube. Instagram, Key to Life, KeyToolYfe. And the bio has a link to my YouTube. On that YouTube, you'll find free workouts. You'll find some creative expressions of the creator within me, back talk. And hopefully you'll find everything that you need there. You'll find a link to my website, keytolife.com, KeyToolYfe. There you can find some socks. Look, just eventually all the things that we're working on, they will be from that website. Y'all should support me. I'll say that. Y'all should support me.
Yes, support him.
So I can continue.
Support your local medicine man.
Yeah, hey, that's what I'm gonna continue. Look, support them. Get you some guaranteed good day socks, so I can guarantee that you have a good day. Cause look at them, fire, guaranteed. We're only getting better, and that's what I am believing that on. We are only, as a people, we are only getting better, thanks to people like Sid Sands and Sacred Reclamations and conversations like this.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll put that all in the show notes, like link to your socials and your website. People can go buy their socks or the sweatshirts on the website.
I gotta go do that right now.
So whenever this goes out, the sweatshirts will be on the website, unless they might be sold out by then, if we're being honest.
Look, they might have new, different designs, everything.
All right. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing your stories. Thanks to everyone that's out there listening. You can find me on Instagram at Sid Sands, or you can go to sacredreclamation.com to read poetry, shop for plant medicine, or just find a way to connect with me online. And I'd love to hear from you. And also, if anyone wants to, if you or someone you know wants to come on the podcast, if you're a cool person, conscious creator is what we're magnetizing towards this podcast. You can also just message me on Instagram or connect with me through my website. And yeah, don't forget to go to keytolife.com, KeyToolYfe.com.
Oh, praise. Love you, Sid.
Love you.